Hello, everyone, and welcome to Aquarium Radio at aquariumradio.com. And I'm your host, Jennifer Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Lesson. And we have a very special roundtable discussion. This is a expanded Mock Citizens Disclosure Panel 1 with Alfred Lambermont Weber, Laura Magdalene Eisenhower, Ray Kusalandich Tolik, Teresa J. Morris, and Elizabeth Diamond. Excuse me. And we are going to go about 3 hours. We have 8 people here altogether, so we're going to be doing these 5-minute rounds. And we have 4 to 5 questions, and at the end we're going to have some feedback and asking each other's questions if we have feedback. And we're going to begin with Dr. Lesson. And let me pull him on. 1 second. This is the first time managing these many people on the back end of a panel. So, Dr. Lesson, do we have you with us?
Yes, we do. You want me to start with Alfred's bio, right?
Okay, I'm just checking your sound. And would you like to begin by introducing our first panelist, which is Alfred Lambermont Weber? We're going to do a bio for each panelist, and then we're going to ask them the question. And I'm going to time it once the question begins, and you have 5 minutes. So we won't count the intro and the bio as part of your question, but once we start asking the guests the question, they have 5 minutes, and then they're going to hear a lovely sound, which is like a harp going off, and then you'll know to just finish your thought and allow for the next person to come on board. And we're going to go boy, girl, and we're starting with seniority. So, and my voice is going, so hopefully it comes back. All right. Dr. Lesson, would you like to begin?
Alfred Weber is a futurist, and he wrote Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe. And that founded the whole field of exopolitics. And exopolitics is the science of relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. Exopolitics included a case study of human contact with an advanced civilization on Mars. Alfred's new book, The Dimensional Ecology of the Omniverse, integrates empirical data from intelligent extraterrestrial civilizations and the intelligent civilization of souls in the interlife. It demonstrates a new hypothesis of a functioning ecology of intelligence in the dimensions of the omniverse. Alfred has taught economics at Yale and constitutional law at the University of Texas. He was the general counsel to the New York City Environmental Protection Administration. He was a futurist at Stanford Research Institute, and there he directed the 1977 Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communications. Alfred. The first question is as follows. Let's get this question here. Question 1. Here it is. Okay. What evidence are you going to present today that the extraterrestrials are real and that they are visiting this planet?
Oh, is Alfred Lane? Oh, hold on 1 second. I've got to put him on live because he can't speak. Oh, and I wanted to say one more thing before I pull in Alfred, that this is your scenario is imagine a banded citizens hearing on Capitol Hill, and they're recording your testimony for documentaries for Congress and world leaders. Okay, I'm not sure if we said that, but here we go. Alfred, are you there?
Yes. So the question again, the ETs, hello? Their boons, and our rulers' lies.
Right. Now, there's been 1 minute of my 5 minutes that have gone by so far.
I haven't started yet. Okay, so now we have you.
You have it.
I haven't started. So right now, if you're ready, I will start your timer.
Okay, good.
Are you ready?
Well, I'm ready, and I'm happy to be here, and I'm privileged to be here amongst such distinguished company. of experiencers and interdimensional presences and exopoliticians, etc. Okay, it's very interesting that we're so concerned around time, because the first evidence that I would present is evidence from the third density time-space dimension that we're based in our solar system, and that is eyewitness evidence of an intelligent Martian human civilization, extraterrestrials, Homo Martis Terris, that in fact are visiting our planet and even have work at the Hughes Aircraft Company, and we have evidence that they attend support groups in Los Angeles, California, and that they are all over the place. And we have, that I've spoken to, 6 different whistleblowers who have witnessed them: Andrew Bishago, Randy Kramer, Michael Relf, Brett Stillings, Bernard Mendes, and Arthur Neumann. We have photographic evidence of them. Just go to TJMorris.net or exopolitics.com. These are photographs of the Mars rovers, and you'll see many photographs of Martian humans there. And we have other witnesses who have come forth from the secret liaison programs of the U.S. government. Charles Hall talking about the tall white ETs. We have evidence from the hyperdimensional programs. These are the programs with the reptilians and greys and mantids. Jim Sparks has gone public. Others, there's plenty of information from whistleblowers going back to 1952 of the warfare between Earthling humans and Mars humans against reptilians and mantids and greys, both on Earth and on Mars. The reptilians and mantids and greys, the hostile ones, trying to essentially claim over Mars. And we have many, many contactees and much photography. There I would bring in all of the testimony that was given at the recent hearings held in Washington, D.C., with 5 former congresspersons. So that's a huge amount of data.
Okay. Well, are you complete, or do you have something else to say? You have another minute and 22 seconds.
Yeah. Well, that is a huge amount of evidence that that presents it. In order for the human mind to understand all of this data, I would bring my 2 books, which provide a frame of reference for interpreting all of the data. It provides a cosmic frame of reference. And the first one is Exopolitics, Politics, Government, and Law in the Universe. And this is a frame of reference for our programmed human mind to understand that we live in a highly populated and organized multiverse. And the second is the dimensional ecology of the omniverse, so that we can take all of that data and understand where it all fits in terms of a functioning dimensional ecology, not only of our universe, but of all the universes that are intersecting in a dimensional ecology with an overlapping dimensional ecology of the spiritual dimensions with the intelligent civilization of souls, because each of us is actually from the intelligent dimension of souls that is now incarnated in this virtual dimension inside an avatar that we call an earthling human. So that's what I have to say.
Well, thank you. That was perfect. The timer went off, and I would like to add what I think, knowing what I know about you, Alfred, is that the evidence you have is all these hours of interviews you have on the YouTubes and your books, and I would add that to our evidence that we're going to present to the Congress, if I could do that.
Oh,
thank
you. Very kind.
All right. Next person is, let me first, before I bring on the next person, make sure I have her right number because we didn't get her call in before the show. And I'm going to just ask, area code 347, is this TJ?
Yes. Can you hear me?
No, let me. It is. Okay. And I want to say those that I bring on live, if you could kind of mute or keep the background noise down, then I won't have to mute you in between, which adds to the mic. So if you could mute on your end or just be very quiet, that would be excellent. All right. So let me do my introduction to our next guest. Next panel member is TJMorris. She's an author, radio personality, and spiritual intuitive. And she's the host of TJMorris ET Radio and the founder of the Metaphysical Institute of the Ascension Center Energetics. She is the author of many books and hundreds of articles that have been published worldwide. I know she's on UFO Digest and other very famous publications, and she's appeared on radio and television as an eclectic soul and creative reporter. And let's see, she's best known for healing, intuition, ancient mysteries, cosmology, metaphysics, parapsychology, ufology, and the universal mind. So, TJ, the first question is, and I'll repeat this because there might be people tuning in haven't heard it before. This is entitled ETs, Their Boons, and Our Rulers' Lies. Based on your experience as a whistleblower, investigator, and or contactee, what evidence and logic will you present today that extraterrestrials are real and are visiting this planet that reveals the truth behind black projects, technology cures, and hidden information that affects all of humanity? And give me 1 second while I get the timer pulled up. And welcome to the show, TJ. Go ahead and say hello, and then I will start the timer when you begin to answer the question.
Okay. Hello, world, and welcome everyone that's listening on our channel and all the people on my chat room. So we are simulcasting with Janet Carroll Lesson for this particular show today. I am TJMorris. Thank you, everybody, fellow colleagues of the ET world. I really appreciate being allowed to speak today, and we have this forum of some great people here that put this together, and extraterrestrials are real and are visiting this planet. And my motto is alien civilizations exist, and that is what I've been writing about for many years since I left the military and became a prolific writer about 10 years ago. Now, I have been in uniform. I have been out of uniform. I've worked in country. I've worked out of country for those that may have understanding of our military platform on the planet. And to be honest, I have worked in uniform and out of uniform with extraterrestrials. Now, as extraterrestrials, I mean people that are not of this planet. Now, we call ourselves Homo sapiens, and we are sentient, intelligent beings. And from what my people have told me that I work with that receive extrasensory perception, telepathy type of energy and use it, I've worked with them, and I do my best to communicate. And I know that might be strange for some people not having that ability, which one actually has to, I guess, be around those within a 6-foot perimeter to understand that. Now, in my military, I have certain things I have come across that I would say is in the classified world, and the people that I would present besides myself would be my husband, and he is not able to participate today because of his health. However, he and I have both worked together. We ran across each other's military backgrounds, his Army, my Navy, and we have seen UFOs up close. We have been on UFOs, or what is called an unidentified flying object. Now, to us, they're just regular spacecraft, not of Earth origin. As far as what is allowed to be talked about, we have astronauts that have disclosed. I was a party to that on the side of NASA from a civilian white side, even though I had clearance levels. I was not working at NASA, but my husband was at the time, not the one I'm married to now. This was a different one. So I've had more than one type of thread of thought or experience or exposure. And I happen to know that what I heard that was allegedly classified at the time about bogies is now well talked about by various astronauts and their sightings. So to me, on a 3D level, that's very important. I am one that was born into a life of normalcy on the planet, but yet being able to understand I had another part, our family, that is just as equal to humans on Earth as those off Earth. So to me, reality is that alien civilizations exist. And as far as universe, multiverse, metaverse, universe, omniverse, alphaverse, and omegaverse, we still, in our ancient world religions, may have some type of understanding that all levels do exist, up to what we call source, or in panpsychism, if you will, all things have consciousness. Now, I, too, have plenty to talk about, but I believe I've got to watch timing today. For everybody that's accustomed to hearing me, I'm probably going to be as open as I can be today because we are doing the best we can to present citizens hearing our Capitol Hill record mock testimony for documentaries for Congress and key world leaders. So this is my way of saying I am very familiar with stories. I've been a documentary. I've been a legal investigator, private investigator. I have worked for the government, and I have been privy to history, and I understand classified and those levels. And I would like to present two names that I believe are important, actually three, to my story is Bob Lazar and the late Colonel Philip Corso, his story, and then as late as a gentleman that just died here recently, August of 2014, would be Boyd Bushman. So with that, Janet, I'm going to turn the mic back over to you.
Well, thank you. That was great. You had 24 seconds, but you did great. Okay, and we will come back to you next round, and we will have a feedback round probably after like 2 rounds. So if you are listening to somebody else's testimony, panelists, and you would like to comment, I recommend you take a notation so that you can come back to them in the future and make comments on what they said, because this is a lot of information. Our next panelist is Ray Koselandich, and Dr. Lisson is going to introduce him, and I'm going to his number and turn him off mute. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Lisson, please introduce Ray.
Okay, Ray Koselandich is a multi-generational contactee. He will tell us about 32 extraterrestrial species. Human and his whole family has had ET contacts, his grandfather, his father, and then him. And he's actually managed to get great drawings of the hyperdimensional ETs that have visited him. And the first question, Ray, is, again, about ETs, their boons, and our rulers' lives. And it goes like this. Based on your experience as a whistleblower, investigator, and contactee, what evidence will you present today to this congressional panel that extraterrestrials are real and that are indeed visiting the planet?
Welcome to our show, Ray. Would you like to say hello to everybody before we start your testimony? Ray, do we have you? Okay. Let me see. I'm going to take everybody off mute one at a time and see if, let's see, that's not Ray, that's Elizabeth.
You hear me?
Oh, okay. Ray, are you on?
I'm on now, I guess. I guess you can hear me. But it's great to be on your show, Janet, and it's an honor to be on this show with some great major players. I want to say hi to everybody. Yes, a long-time contactee. It started with me at 12 years old, 1959. It really started with my late grandfather, Slavia. He was lumberjack, and out of these woods came this 12-inch dwarf, and they would talk. He had like 5 samples my late grandmother would give him, and they would talk about things. And one of the main things they were talking about, the little 12-inch dwarf told my late grandfather that one of your sons, which is my dad, and one of his grandsons, which is me, will meet many star people for information. And this all started with me at age 12, 1959, all the way up to this day, because I meet 4 that I call my Fab 4 out of the 32. They're not the Beatles. They're the Nardiques, the elephant people from the 13th and 14th dimension. My very first encounter, the 3-inch humanoids from the 5th and 7th dimension, and the Serpo Greys from the planet Serpo. I know these people are real. I've been on their crafts. I meet these 4 that I just mentioned every 2 months for vital information. I was at planet Serpo 3 times, once with my late father, twice by myself. These people are real. The lady that I had to draw all 32, because I'm not an artist, she drew them exactly the way that what they look like, what they are, the planets they're from, the galaxies. These people were here for information. Explained to us it was an education for us to figure out what we're doing down here to this planet, that we're destroying this planet, and we need to turn everything around. And they know we're trying to do that. They want us to stop the nuclear power plants, anything nuclear, the wars. Back in my day, we didn't spray them gardens. Today we spray everything. And in the long run, in 20 years, we're killing ourselves. And I meet my Fab 4 at different locations. It's never the same location. My TV's off in my apartment. They'll come on my apartment. They'll give me an information like line 40 south. Well, that actually means Highway 40 south. I would get in my car. The code was I would see the UFO come across my car. These are in the wee hours in the morning. They would blink their lights twice. The next exit was mine. I would pull off that road. My car would die, and they were coming to get me, and I would go on to their craft. And then back in my day, we had black and white TV. We didn't have color TV. So me and my dad were sitting in this room, and here come this color TV floating in the air. It would show Hitler, the wars, and our beautiful planet totally on fire. And like I said at the beginning, this was an education for us to figure out. And my late father and myself, with the answers that we had, that we were really right on, because the last thing would have been contact for the people down here on planet Earth. I've talked to, one's not on this panel just yet, totally. He's a real good friend of mine. He has the Andromeda Council. And this other lady by the name of Michelle Dion, she's had Bigfoot all the way with him. What amazed me between Tolik's people and Shell, because my people talk about the year 2017. It's a major year for us down here on planet Earth. Personally, the 50 years I've been into this, I believe this is going to be the year for contact. Shell Dion, who speaks to Bigfoot people, these people are human people. They're not creatures. They talk about the year 2007. They're also using the word taken. When I was talking to Shell, she came up with the same thing. they were talking about taking some of us with them. And then when I talked to Tolik, probably about a week ago, he had a meeting with his trauma council. And then he came back to me a week later, said everything your star people said to you about the year 2017, Ray, is accurate on everything they're saying to you. My guys are a higher dimension. Like I said, I've met people from the galaxies, other dimensions. I got these are these people. These are what these people look like. These people are real. I met the ant people, the worm people, the cat people, the one-eyed side people, the biblical people, the orange people. The list goes on. People are real. Everybody's going to see these people. There's a person now by the name of Gordon Kirk who he saw my orange people. He saw the one-eyed Cyclops people. He saw the monk people, my little 3-inch people. These people are...
Thank you, Ray. The time is up,
Okay.
and we are to go on to. But thank you very much, and we will be back to you next round. Do you have anything final to kind of summarize, or? Okay, we'll go on to the next person. Thank you, Ray. So our next panelist is Elizabeth Diamond, and she's a nurse by trade, and she has been swept up in the tidal wave of awakening and is now choosing to be a bridge in helping to awaken humanity. She hosts a show every Saturday, which is called Diamonds Forever 31, and on that show we learn who we really are and go beyond awakening along. And she features many very special guests, and they all help expand the reality. And Elizabeth is helping humanity have a more tangible, close relationship with our star families, galactic-wise. Elizabeth, our first question for you is, based on your experience as a whistleblower, investigator, and or contactee, what evidence and logic will you present today that extraterrestrials are real and are visiting this planet, that reveals the truth behind black projects, technology, cures, and hidden information that affects all of humanity? So I'm going to have you to say hello to the panel, and when you're ready to begin your testimony, please say begin, and I will press the timer. Aloha, Elizabeth. Welcome to our panel, and we're very happy that you're here. Oops, 1 second. Sorry, technical glitch. I have to turn on her button here, and she's got to. 1 second here. She's simulcasting for us. Okay, 1 second. Come on. Aloha, Elizabeth. Welcome to the show. Do I have the right button turned on?
Aloha. Can you hear me?
Yes. Hi, Elizabeth. Sorry for that glitch. Would you like to say hi to the panel and then let me know when you're ready to begin your testimony, and I'll start the timer.
Well, I just want to say thanks, Sasha and Janet, for the show. And I want to say aloha to everybody, and keep shining diamonds, all of you out there. And I want to say hi to all the panel, Dr. Alfred Weber, Tolek, and Ray, and Laura Magdalena Eisenhower. And who did I forget? Teresa J. Morris. Thank you for doing all this roundtable. And just keep shining all you diamonds and keep on sparkling and lighting up the world, including the audience. That's what I want to say. So, as far as the question, what evidence and logic will you present today that ETs are real and visiting our planet, that reveals the truth of technology, black projects, cures, hidden info, and the effect on humanity? Well, through my research and doing the shows, there are lots and lots of groups out there that have been studying this subject of extraterrestrials, UFO sightings, and out there, out in the public, and even before the internet, and on the internet now. So there's been lots of groups bringing out information and knowledge for a long, long time. Something keeps echoing. I don't know. So
I'm going to mute everybody but you just to eliminate that because, Okay, continue.
Okay. So also there's been tons and tons of encounters with individuals, a lot of, even on this panel, the people on the panel, and David Wilcock brings out information along with Mary Rodwell, Simon Parks, who's in the UK, all around the world. There's been many, many contactees, not even before the 50s, even during the Renaissance, believe it or not, even before that, there's been contactees of our star people, our brothers and sisters, as adults, as children. Mary Rodwell will prove that, and all over the world. Our star brothers and sisters have been visiting us since, millions of years. What I just learned a little while back was they've literally been visiting all of our presidents for not just the last few years, but the last 100 years. And, Laura could probably talk more about that because that's in her family. So there's lots and lots of proof out there. And now we're ramping it up because the Internet, with all the truth radio channels and the knowledge coming out and the testimonies coming out over the Internet, it's going all over the world, and there's nothing stopping it, nothing stopping the Internet. They cannot oppress that. So it is getting out, and it is real. And I just want to, pretend like we're in the congressman, remind you, congressman, back in the 1950s, 1960s, your fellow congressmen were hearing congressional hearings live regarding UFOs and what happened in Rodwell and all that. And then somehow that got squelched. But there are people working in government now, like Stephen Bassett, who is in Washington, D.C., and he's an activist for the UFO and the ET information to get out from under the rug, so to speak, and out to the public. And hopefully they're going to have starting another real live congressional hearings, hopefully this year. They're working really hard on that. And what does that mean? That means when you hear live congressional Senate hearings and testimonies like the Citizens Mock hearing that was held 2 years ago, that means it's on TV, on public TV for the whole world to hear, all around the world, if another country doesn't announce it first. But it is coming, and it is true. Let's see. And also, there are the star people out there regarding technology that have technology now. There's certain scout ships out there, like Julian Wells I've had on my show, that literally what that whole ship does is monitor our news media, propaganda, and in the truth one, they're even listening today. So welcome all our galactic brothers and sisters from all over the universe. I'll just put that out. So as far as technology, the reason, it's time for our real true technology that's been squelched and used for bad to come out for good now, because once this extraterrestrial gets out in the Congress and all over the world, the cover-up for the technology that they've taught us and showed us will come about here in this world, and it will make a major change in this world, regarding free energy and transportation and teleportation and all that. So how much longer do I have?
You are just about done, 19 seconds, so we can end it with that. Okay. And you have any final words? And we can go on to the next person, but thank you.
No, I'm enjoying it so far. This is a multidimensional weaving we're all doing today on this round table. And so it'll expand our consciousness in a big bound and leap, those who are listening, those at the round table, and those hosting. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Our next panelist is Tulloch. And Dr. Lesson, would you please introduce Tulloch?
Yes, Tulloch represents the Andromeda Council, which is an intergalactic governance and developmental body of aligned, benevolent star systems and planets. He represents them for both worlds in both the Milky Way and the Andromeda galaxies. And the first question, Tulloch, is what evidence do you have for this congressional committee here that will help them understand that extraterrestrials are real and have been visiting this planet a long time?
Aloha, Tulloch. Welcome to our show. Can you hear us? Are you at 727? Hello.
No.
That's not Tolic. Alrighty. Let me just check my panel here and see if I have them. I'm going to put this person 727 on mute. I'm just going to go to my numbers real quick here. Oh, I'm sorry. 1 second. 727. Who is this, please? I'm just going to put you on mute. Let's be a listener. Okay. Let's see. We have Tolik here. If anybody on the panel has Tolik's number and you want to call or tell, I'm not sure what number I'm going to be looking for Tolik. Let me double check if I have everybody. But in the meanwhile, we'll go on to Laura, and then I'll try to figure it out. Who's talking? Somebody's talking? Okay, that's all right. Sasha, let's see. Our next person, Laura Eisenhower. And Laura is an intuitive astrologist, global alchemist, cosmic mythologist, and is the great-granddaughter of Dwight David Eisenhower. And she's on a profound mission to reveal our true origins connected with the Magdalene and Gaia Sophia energies of love and wisdom, and works to liberate us from the military-industrial complex, chronic systems, and false power structures. She has degrees and certifications in science, wilderness, expedition, leadership, natural healing, and building. She has masterfully woven together the esoteric and alchemical aspects of nature with our ancient roots, hidden history, the present world, and our future potential. She's a whistleblower and has been speaking out about being recruited to go to a colony on Mars that represented a timeline she refused to go along with. And she has been able to uncover some necessary truths and agendas that humanity is being kept in the dark about. And she lectures and does workshops on these issues with topics such as global alchemy, Christ Sophia, sacred union, ET races, esoteric cosmology, the positive timeline. And she seeks to empower the individual so that harmony can be restored. And let me get the right number to pull her on the show. Oops, that's the wrong one. Okay, 1 second here. Sorry. This is my first time juggling all these people. Okay. Let me see. Welcome, Laura. Do I have the right telephone number here?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, great. Hello? Yes, we can hear you. Thank you. Welcome to the show. And before I start the timer, what would you like to say to our panelists and to our audience?
I just wanted to thank you so much for having me on and just saying hello to all the panelists, and thanks for all the work that you do. And everybody who's been able to come along and join us, much appreciative that you have taken the time to hear this.
Okay, thank you, Laura. Let me repeat the question based on your experiences as a whistleblower, investigator, and/or contactee. What evidence and logic will you present today that extraterrestrials are real, that are visiting this planet, that reveals the truth behind black projects, technology cures, and hidden information that affects all of humanity? And please begin your testimonial now.
Well, there's a lot of different layers to this. Just to start off with, I have personally met and I have done quite a number of sessions with contactees and abductees, and to me, they are witnesses and proof. I mean, if you are in the judicial system or somebody's in a courtroom, we give witnesses to crimes credibility, yet many consider contactees and abductees to be crazy, and they don't seem to take seriously what they've witnessed and what their testimonies are. So to me, that's proof. There are pictures, there are drawings, there are photographs, there are scars and markings that people have. There's reproductive organ damage that takes place for individuals. There's implants, there's rectal bleeding, there's memories that are very similar when people, look and start to compare. And, perfect example is Travis Walton, who had witnesses. And he was the contactee that was... a movie was made from his testimony, Fire in the Sky. And then on a more positive end, there's many channelers that tell our galactic history. There's always some disinformation, but when you look at the common thread that comes from a lot of disinformation, there is a lot that we have discovered based on what people have brought in, particularly like Lisa Renee and her work on energeticsynthesis.com. And what these channelings have been stating, have a lot to do with the galactic wars, things that line up with information in the Bible, things about a pre-Adamic world, which is the things that existed far before Genesis. And when we are in the higher dimensional energies of Atlantis and Lemuria, there's all sorts of artifacts and evidence, paintings showing UFOs, locations and sacred sites such as Adam's calendar that reveal a lot about the Anunnaki presence. And then, my own life path. All this information really grounds me because I've really been aware of my mission since I was a child. I recognized early on that the ET government treaty rumors had a lot of basis in reality, and I've done an incredible amount of research. And when we look at those that have spoken about this, a lot of them ended up having mysterious deaths. So we have a lot of information from folks like William Cooper, Dan Burrish, Phil Schneider, William Cooper and Phil Schneider, who are no longer with us, and folks like Bob Lazar and Dan Burrish, who talk about Area 51, who talk about timelines and the visitation from the Greys. Dan Burrish talks quite a bit about, the P-45s and the P-52s coming from the future. And then that goes into alternatives 1, 2, and 3 and the colonization of Mars. And there's no way that we can really come up with these kind of agendas and have access to the sort of technologies that we do without there being some sort of collaboration going on with extraterrestrials. And these treaties stem back to, the time of Roosevelt and Hitler and Churchill and Crowley, and it goes deeper into, the Illuminati structure and the Anunnaki and the Nephilim. And so it's just, there's nothing but evidence and there's nothing but proof, but people tend to brush it off and they're not really looking, because if we look up at our sky, whose idea was that to spray and to create weather modification and to utilize technology such as HAARP to control nature? And that shows, number one, that we're not sovereign beings, that we're not co-creating with the planetary body, that we're in an artificial matrix, and we're being lied to. And so anytime there's secrecy and there's this kind of evidence that gets smeared through things like COINTELPRO, I think anybody of their right mind would know and sense that something is going on here, and we need to start to educate ourselves. So I personally take it upon myself to educate myself about galactic history, things like the founder races, the fallen founder races, the archons, and how it relates to the planetary body and Gaia Sophia, and why there's been such an exile of the divine feminine energies, and how this all relates to a very strong negative alien agenda, but also the knowingness that we're multidimensional beings dealing with a lot of benevolent forces and races that many people have had contact with. And there are many cases about all of this. But just to hit home some of the proof about the mind control and the more negative side of things, we have folks like Kathy O'Brien. There's all sorts of cover-ups of satanic rituals. We have folks like Kim Carlsberg, who was a part of the breeding program. And we have Captain K, who served on Mars for 17 years, who, with no doubts in his mind and nothing but articulation and legal authority to disclose such things, that there are numerous races that we've been interacting with, and indigenous species on Mars, and a colonization project on Mars. And I personally was recruited to go to Mars in 2006, so I can definitely say that all that resonates, including the testimonies of Andrew Basiago and all the work that Alfred Weber has done. And we've all been linked, since 2010. So that's what I'll share for now.
Well, thank you. That was incredible. Thank you so much. I'm going to do a little pause here for logistics. I'm going to just ask area code caller 727. Would you please call back in on this number, 347-945-7207. Since you're not one of our panelists, you might be taking up a spot, and Tolik is not able to call in. So my apologies. I'm going to have to connect you. Please call back into the show in our alternative number, 3. Thank you so much. All right. With that, let me just...
Oh, I know someone else.
Hey, one moment. Go ahead. Sweetheart, what did you want to say?
I think that we should also ask Dr. Lesson about his materials that may bear on the question of the boons and the rulers of our lies that we've been fed.
So let me do your bio, okay? Hold on, Dr. Lesson. Let me get your bio. Okay. And I just wanted to say before I go to Dr. Lesson is, Ray, if you can call Tulloch and tell him to try to call into the show while we have you on mute, and tell him he probably could not get in, and there's an opening now, so have him call in, please. Okay, Dr. Sasha Lesson is the co-author with his wife, Janet Nimmer Lesson, of Anunnaki Gods No More, and Anunnaki Legacy of the Gods, and Great Relations, and How to Really Love a Woman. And he holds an MA in counseling and a PhD in anthropology from UCLA. And each week, Dr. Leslie and Janet hosts experts in ancient aliens, extrabiological entities, contact, ufology, conspiracy, centering, tantra, and relationship counseling on internet radio for Revolution Radio and Aquarian Radio. And the late Zechariah Sitchin asked Dr. Leslie to teach about ETs on Earth, so we may transcend the ideologies for which we fight, die, and enslaved others. And the lessons live and broadcast from their community in the mountains of Maui, Hawaii. And Dr. Lesson, you've heard the question. First of all, say hi to our panel, and then what would you like to say in response to the question?
Sure. Aloha, everybody. Yeah. I'm delighted to rap with you about this material, and especially I'd like to say something to you, ladies and gentlemen of this congressional committee. It's about time you listen to the American public. It's about time you listen to me and the evidence that I have to present and my colleagues have to present. We have been visited from the get-go by extraterrestrials. As a matter of fact, we are adapted extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki who came here 450,000 years ago and who 300,000 years ago first made from their genome an adapted race to work in the gold mines, because they were coming here to get gold to refine into powder to float up into their atmosphere around Nibiru, their planet. And so they created this, and they left extensive records. By the time they enhanced us with various, they had intercourse with the creatures they created and made all kinds of hybrids, and including the hybrid rulers. And they had extensive written literature that was fired onto clay, and we know what's happening. The evidence is utterly overwhelming. And some of the evidence that I'll present today are, first of all, the rocket ships, airships, and hangars that dot the whole ancient world. They're found in Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Lebanon, South America, Central America, south of Mexico, England, Ireland, and Antarctica. And the evidence also includes the astronomy that they left for the Sumerians to write for them, that way preceded what our scientists learned. There's water on the planets of Solaris. There's water in space. About the asteroids, they mentioned planets like Neptune and Uranus that are beyond what the eye can see without aids. They basically have a whole series of stone computers and sight lines that take into account the precession of equinoxes. They have moved huge rocks and made structures that we can barely handle today in Lebanon, South Africa, Turkey, Egypt, Jerusalem, Romania, Bosnia, Malta, Indus Valley, China, Cambodia, Britain, North America, South America, Central America, Mexico, and Mars. And there's residues from the nuclear wars that they had way back when in 2024, where they bombed Sinai and they bombed Sodom and Gomorrah, this one clan, the Enlilites, to stop Marduk or Ra from taking the spaceport, and but the fallout from that from that nuking blew all over Sumer and wiped them all out. Most of them left from their other spaceport, which was by Lake Titicaca is the city of Tiwanaku. The Sumerians were dictated all kinds of information about our geology and biology. We share the same DNA as them. Now, you got to understand that they understood genetics. Our makers, Ningishita,
Nima, and Enki designed us to supersede, to do better than them. Their society was a military dictatorship where women were ground down and totally dissed, and they murdered. They were emotional babies. And what these three geneticists wanted to do is they wanted to create a creature that was better than them. And that's what they did when little Tiamat, the girl that they had created by their genetic experiments, had intercourse with Adamu, the little boy. She became enlightened. She realized, oh my gosh, everything's different now. And she made a little apron, and she made the table. And when the neighbor came by, this was the commander Enlil, she said, "Hi, I'm Tiamat. Look what I made. Who are you?" And he said, "How dare you, Enki," that's the geneticist, "you weren't supposed to make creatures that could breed. And here this person is whatever it is pregnant. How dare you? Get the hell out of Eden. Take him down to Zimbabwe where your place is. I don't want to see him anymore." But the point is that Tiamat was enlightened, and we are not subordinate to any race of extraterrestrials. We have our own genius. We have our own stuff to share. The Anunnaki had terrible weapons. They had electricity. They used their pyramids to, first of all, they started a pump going to water underneath, which would start a wave going up. And these were right on the ley lines of the earth, and then they add to chemicals, HCl, and hydrated zinc to make a hydrogen explosion, which then they send up, catalyze it up through the top of the pyramid, and send monoliths all over the planet. That's enough for a start.
Thank you, Dr. Lesson. That was wonderful. All right, I still do not see Tulloch, but Dr. Lesson, would you like to introduce me, and then I will say my testimony for question number one, and then I think I need to take a little break here, and then we'll come back for round two. Take it away, Dr. Lesson.
Okay, so Janet Kira Lesson is, of course, a radio personality, and she blows whistles, and she interviews, and she writes about alien and contactee reintegration, cult deprogramming, the paranormal, past life, walk-ins, near-death, interdimensional, multidimensional, astronomical, genetic, shamanic, tantric, polyamorous, and ancient anthropological phenomena. She has integrated these fields of study and experience in a highly readable series called The Dance of the Souls, and has already published her first book in the series, which is called Pierce the Veil, which you can get on Amazon.com. Janet, assisted by TJMorris and myself, hosts our internet radio programs at Revolution Radio and AquarianRadio.com. Here she interviews the top researchers and experiencers in UFO, conspiracy, disclosure, ancient anthropology, science fiction, and Anunnaki studies. She, like myself, is a student of Zecharia Sitchin, and Sitchin certified her in Sitchin studies. She attends various UFO and ancient alien conferences and interviews these conferences about outstanding presenters. And so, Janet, what would you like to tell this congressional committee? First, before you time yourself, do you have anything you'd like to say to the other panelists?
Well, I'm so honored to be here in this group of colleagues. It just blows my mind, and it almost brings me to tears. I'm just overwhelmed. This is an amazing event, and I know this is the first in a series of these discussions, and we are disclosure. And so I'll begin my testimony. I'm an experiencer, and I've had contact since the crib. In fact, I came in, and I don't think they turned off something, so I remembered my past lives, and I was able to see ghosts and interdimensionals and extraterrestrials. And I had to explain that to my parents, which didn't go over very well, so I learned to keep it quiet. And as an experiencer, I have been taken, and I don't think that kind of is I wasn't taken anywhere. I agreed to go each and every time, and sometimes it's physically, and sometimes it's astrally in some kind of etheric body, and it's a very spiritual, high spiritual experience. I have not had any negative experiences. There was one I perceived as negative when I did therapy on it. I realized it was just my body, my ego self that was afraid of the experience. But all of these beings have come here to interact with me for my benefit and for the evolution of consciousness on this planet, and that's why I'm here now doing what I'm doing. My most profound, and I've had a whole lifetime of very profound experiences. Two of the most profound were one before a council of not just 12, but 100,000 different species. 100,000 different species, and they showed me that there were 100,000 different species that were in this room, which I think we created for the benefit of this experience. They were all distinct and unique, and there were no two of the same species. And I was reporting the State of the Union address, what it was like to be a human female in the 21st century in Hawaii and on planet Earth. And so based on my report and I'm not the only one, people are being taken. So not taken. People are going to this assembly meeting, and they are interviewing us. And they have decided that enough is enough, and they are coming here to help us and assist us. So that's what's happening now. They're showing up. And another proof and evidence, and I've been asking for proof because I would often be returned from my experiences, and I'd have stigmata, I'd have implants, I'd have scoop marks, and there were scratches on my back one night, and all kinds of evidence because I asked for evidence because I wanted to know what is really going on. And so finally in 1996, I was on Johnson Atoll, which is a top-secret military installation 800 miles southwest of the Pacific, and I was taken out of my bed after being there for a year, and I was carried like a surfboard by 6 grays, accompanied by 6 military. My young boyfriend, I had a boyfriend, he was carried as well, so this was a two-person experience, and we were taken to a beam ship, and we went underneath the ocean, underneath the ground, and there I was shown 1,000 tall whites, and they were the Anunnaki, and they varied in height from about 6 foot, was probably around the shortest, up to about 14 feet, and I was very unusual. We were dressed, everybody was dressed in gowns and outfits like that were out of King Henry VIII's court, and we went down into the center of, I want to say the center of the earth, but probably wasn't. We just went further underground. Every step I took was like gliding 20 feet, and so it was nothing to walk, probably literally miles. And I'm really going to come out. There I was shown a huge dragon at the center of the earth, and it was just like our dinosaurs. It was very large, and it was also sentient, intelligent, and I was invited to communicate, and at that point, the communication went simultaneous. We had 1,000 people able to communicate simultaneously, and somehow that is our ability that we can comprehend that level of exchange of information, but in this form, we cannot understand it. And I was returned safely to my bed, and basically it was there, that's your evidence, and my young boyfriend remembered it as well. And it continues to this day. I am in constant contact. I am going on to other planets, onto ships, and every night I receive downloads. And I think that's sufficient for what I want to say right now. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I'm going to put Dr. Lesson back on live. You were making some noise. Anything you want to convey to the panel before we take a quick break here? I'm sorry, I do have to take a very quick break. Dr. Lesson, you're back on.
We're here, and you see there's a whole range of evidence from direct personal experience to ancient records, modern techniques such as remote viewing, which can be validated. We've got a lot. The evidence is utterly overwhelming, and ladies and gentlemen of the panel, you can no longer ignore this. If you don't make the announcement about the truth of the treaties and the things that we've interacted with the ETs about, than the Pope will or Mr. Putin will. So get off it, Congress, or maybe even Mr. Obama or Barry Soetoro will blow the whistle.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Weston. Thank you, panel. We'll be back in just 3 short minutes. See you. And this is Sanctuary.
Oh, the heroes and the heroines, the masters of time, have all come together to close the trail of crime. The sages and the holy ones, the masters of destiny, find themselves blessed to be united as one to raise the shield of love. Here we are here. Here we are. Call to you who walk the halls of influence and power. Join with our ancestors on behalf of the ones not born, saying stop, do not sign that bill, giving corporate licenses to kill wilderness or animals. Oh no!
Stand by, folks. I'm trying to get 646 back on here.
At any time, and the host will be notified that there is a caller in queue. Otherwise, please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
Just listening. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Am
I will put you on mute.
Am I on the wrong line?
You're fine. Okay. I'm going to try one more number.
Janet, can you hear me?
Area code 347. This is Tolik.
This is
Or you just a
Teresa.
listener?
We got dropped, and that 727 came and went on my board. So we have people over here, but they're not, I don't believe they're Tolik. Thank you. If we get dropped, I'll have to call back in. So write this number down. Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, I've got you. Okay, thank you. I'm going to do one more logistic thing before we get to round 2, and I'm going to ask Ray if he found a Tolik. 1 second, I want to turn on his mic. Okay, Ray, are you there?
Yeah, it's 520. Tolik's been trying to get a hold of you. And
okay, did you the 646-649-0893 number? And a backup number you could give him if you want to call him is 347-945-7207. That's our simulcast, Teresa J. Morris, and she could click him on as well. So we are gathering momentum here. We have more and more people coming on, and so please tell Tolik those 2 numbers. Did you get them, Ray? 646-649-0893. Tell him to try 347-945-7207, and he will show up on TJ's panel, but then we don't know what number he's calling in from. Do you know his area code that he would be calling in from, Ray?
520.
520, okay. TJ, look for a area code 520. And, okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Now, we're going to go back to round 2. 1 second while I click on my co-host. Sorry about that. Hi, sweetheart. I clicked you off by accident. Are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, so round 2, we're going to go back to Alfred, and I'm going to click on Alfred here, his mic, and have him come on live. And
so
question number 2. Go ahead and ask Alfred question number 2.
The question number 2 is about who rules. Based on your research and experience, who really governs the Earth? And what's the true configuration of government? How do those in powers really control the planet and our resources? What's their agendas?
Okay, thanks very much. Madam Chairman, a brief timeout. I've been for the last 5 minutes chatting back and forth with Tolik, because I called him, then he got me on Skype. He's been holding in queue on his 520-331-4376. If you can't see him, he can hear you. So it means that. So, what is the alternative number that he should call again?
347-945-7207. And listeners, if you could drop off, if you're just a listener, if you could drop off my board and call 347-945-7207, that might make room for to come in. Okay, my number one I have the board is 649-0893. But tell him to call, try either of those numbers, and TJ and I will both be looking for area code 520. Okay?
So ask him to call 347-945-7207. Okay, hold on.
Right.
I'm typing that right now. I'm typing with him.
Good job, Alfred. Sorry, this is our very first time, listeners, doing something of this large scale, and the board apparently on Blog Talk only holds so many numbers. So you can call into area code 347-945-7207. That's our simulcast with the TJMorris ET radio show, and then if there's another simulcast going on, 209-255-1000, and this gets a little bit complicated. You have to put in the PIN 14242. Oh no! PIN is 883267 pound to listen or ask a question. 209.
Okay. Yeah. Now, Tulloch said that he's dialing the 347 number now.
All right, so TJ, look for Tulloch, and
yes, if you have me on, I'll
TJ, so you can tell us when Tulloch appears. But I would invite you. Let's see if it works first. Okay, TJ, are you seeing Tulloch of area code 520 showing up on your end?
I have 2631 and 661, no 520, so I'm waiting for those. As soon as it shows up,
in the meantime. Yeah, okay. In the meantime, we're just going to give Alfred his 5 minutes to answer the question number 2. And
if he called in on Skype, it may be another number. If he called in, if he's on the Skype board, if he was on Skype, it won't show up as a 520 number. It could be one of these other numbers.
Alfred, was he calling on 520 that you're aware of?
Okay. Hold on.
Well, let me see. I'll just plug this on. 661, you're live and on the air. Are you Tulloch?
Hello?
Yes. Are you Tulloch?
If you can hear me, I am.
I can hear you. Okay, Janet, he was on another phone number.
Okay.
This is Tulloch.
So Tulloch, our initial question for you, Tulloch, is what evidence do you have for this congressional committee that ETs have been present, are real, and are still visiting the planet?
And we need his bio.
Let me find his bio. Hold on, I got discombobulated here. Do you have his bio there, honey?
Yeah, I'll read
Tulloch's
the bio. Tulloch represents the Andromeda Council, which is an intergalactic governance and developmental body of aligned benevolent star systems and planets for worlds both in the Milky Way and the Andromeda Galaxy. So he's got a lot to tell us. And first we'll ask you, Tulloch, to say whatever you want to the other panelists in the audience, and then Janet will start the timer, and you can tell us about the boons and that the ETs have for us and the lies of our rulers.
Well, that's
welcome, Tulloch.
Listen, I'm here. I'm glad to be here. I certainly don't want to preempt Alfred, so I'm welcome to.
No.
I'm happy to let him speak, and I can chime in when he's done.
Well, we asked everybody question number 1, and you're the only one that hasn't answered the first question.
Okay.
So
give me the
if we could get your answer, then we'll do.
Again, please.
Based on your experience as a whistleblower, investigator, and/or contactee, what evidence and logic will you present today that extraterrestrials are real and are visiting this planet that reveals the truth behind black projects, technology, cures, and hidden information that affects all humanity?
Oh, all right. Well, just
please,
give me 30 seconds, and
I'll
I'll give you a complete answer. All right.
Okay, excellent.
Here we go. My experience extends back to the late summer of 1993, when my first contact was with the man that I know today, who's the guy in charge, the commander of the Primary Andromeda Council Biosphere. There are 12 of them. The Andromeda Council comprises 12 senior members of a variety of planets, both in the Milky Way and Andromeda Galaxy. And these people are not only there are some 3D people, as organic 3D we are, but there are also members that are 4th, 5th, 6th, and higher. I think the highest density people are with, I forget it off the top of my head, but the highest density people are in the 9th density. So there are a number of higher density people that are part of the Andromeda Council. Now, to answer your question, why do I have some sense of what's going on? Apparently, this planet's been visited for a long, long time, hundreds and thousands of years. It is explicitly at this moment in time, which is unique because there are, at least based on everything I've learned from my contact people, there have been at least 2 global resets where all of society, the multiple societies and civilizations have, for various reasons, completely collapsed. Technology and/or earth changes, and they went back to the beginning and had to build all over again. Apparently, this time around, it's unique because this reset, to use my words, is going to be a soft reset. And that means the people of planet Earth won't have to go through the essential complete tearing down of society, the complete falling down to the point where they'd have to start back at Stone Age again. That's not going to happen this time. There's going to be help by higher density / higher dimensional people that are members of the Andromeda Council and other non-aligned good ETs, for lack of better words, that will help the people of Earth during this coming transformation from a 3D organic world to a upper 4D, 5D world. I'm not a whistleblower, so I don't have any insider information as to who in the governments are talking to which parties. I can tell you that Simon Parks just recently in another panel discussion we were involved in gave a very lucid explanation about why it appears that there are crossed agendas. And that's because, in fact, there are. Because there are a variety of ET groups visiting here, each with their own agenda. Some affiliated with Russia, some affiliated with China, some affiliated with the U.S., some affiliated with Israel, and, of course, other countries as well. So there's a lot of compelling evidence from people like myself, and certainly like Alfred, who talks to hundreds and thousands of people like me and is getting firsthand stories. I think Alfred's probably one of the best people, if you will, in the catbird seat to get the bigger picture, to see all the multiple puzzle pieces that's telling the whole story. Alfred and I have done a number of conversations together, and he's done more than I have. But I believe that there's a lot of compelling information out there that indicates that this is a significant time of change that we're in. That's my closing statement. Next.
Thank you. All right. You still had about a minute left, but we're good. And that'll allow us to continue. So, Dr. Lesson, okay, back to you, Alfred. Let me put your speaker back on. I'm getting background noise. I just want to remind everybody that when you're not on live, please make sure that the mic is not getting any kind of noise of rustling papers or whatever's going on. Alfred, do we have you live here again? I think I have the right.
Yes. Yes. Hello. Can
Hello.
You hear me?
Okay. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Good. Yes, I can.
Excellent. So back to question number 2, which now I can't find. Okay, here it is. Question 2 for our panel, and you can think of it and make some notes until your turn. And we're going to go boy, girl, based on senior, who's older. And Alfred, I think you're the oldest of this group, maybe the second oldest next to Dr. Lesson. And the question is, who rules? Based on your research and direct experience, who really governs this planet? And what is the true configuration of our governments? And how do those in power really govern, control the planet and our resources? Do they have agendas? And if so, what are they? And Alfred, begin your testimony.
Okay. Yeah, thank you. Well, my overall testimony is the following, that it's a process that rules. And the dimensional ecology, both within the third density of Earth's time-space hologram, intersecting with the dimensional ecologies of consciousness at the fourth and fifth density upwards, and even more in our particular universe, and reaching over into the dimensional ecology of other parallel universes in the multiverse, with a continual intervention of the dimensional ecology with the intelligent civilization of souls and other entities from the spiritual dimensions that are actually full-time intervening on our Earth and involved in evolutionary over-control, which is the real secret why the planet hasn't blown up. That's who rules the Earth. And because we are under extraordinary evolutionary over-control. This is not a random process. I'm sorry?
Well said.
Oh, thanks.
Well said.
Thank you. And this may appear like a random process, but it is not at all. Now, I may say some things here that may differ slightly from some views said by other panelists. Please understand that all of us are in our carbon unit incarnations here, and we may have different points of view because we're in ongoing research. And these are not dogmatic views. These are working hypotheses. So when I say Anunnaki, I may have one version of Anunnaki, and Dr. Lesson may have a slightly different version, but that doesn't mean that I'm a bad guy and he's a good guy, or he's a good guy and I'm a bad guy. It just means that we have slightly different versions of what occurred. That's all. And so some of the significant processes in my judgment that affect the process of who rules here occur at 3 different levels. First of all, one primary process is a quarantine that was imposed on our particular Earth and contiguous planets about 1 million to 500,000 years ago, resulting from a rebellion at the level of spiritual administration. You may have heard of Lucifer and Satan. These are the actual historical names of a couple of spiritual governors who rebelled against the universe administration. That quarantine is now slowly lifting, and that's the backdrop of what we call disclosure. Disclosure should really be called expansion of consciousness or ascension, but that's a different matter. We'll get to that in the last question. Secondly, the Anunnaki intervention. What occurred is that the Homo sapiens experiment started here correctly about 400,000 years ago, but it was by a consortium of upper dimensional ethical human, the Pleiadians, the Alpha Centaurians, and others who implanted Homo sapiens here as a 12-strand DNA, light being in the third dimension. And it was the Anunnaki who intervened against the rule of non-intervention and did 2 things. They they dumbed down our DNA to 12 strand and exploited our gold. And nothing has happened in 280,000 years. The Anunnaki and their successors, all of the monarchies, all of the churches, all of the governments are still dumbing down our DNA and exploiting our gold. And these are kind of the twin poles, the two forces of evolution and devolution, which are at work here. And finally, we have an unexpected attempted dimensional takeover. There's been a hyperdimensional war going on with the Draco reptilians and Orion Greys for about a century. It started in the early 20th century. They tried to timeline and take over Earth, Mars, and its moons in this sector of the solar system. Timeline for about between the year 2000 and the year 2030. That's still going on, but essentially has been beaten back. Now, who rules? Well, we have the various sectors, and it's 5 minutes, and we'll continue it later. So thanks very much.
We're going to do a cleanup round after this one. So thank you very much, Alfred. And I'm sorry that everybody is worthy of 2 hours just talking about everything, and we are doing a panel. But we will get to every piece of this information in time here and in time for what we need to do for this planet. Thank you, Alfred. Next person is TJ. And let me ask you the question again. Teresa J. Morris. Who rules? Based on your research and direct experience, who really governs this planet, and what is the true configuration of our governments, and how do those in power really govern, control the planet, and our resources? Do they have agendas, and if so, what are they? And TJ, begin your testimony now.
Thank you, Janet. I'd like to say welcome everybody once again, and especially Tulloch here, and he will be back on in a few minutes. Thank you for calling in on our boards. And from here forward, I would like to say that it is multifaceted, our forms of government on the planet. I agree that we have a multi-layered society in 3D, in a bionic, if you will, to some, to genetic cultures, if you will, to others. There's what we'd like to think where I live in the United States of America, conservatism for the Republicans and not so conservatism for the Democratic Party. Those are the two main parties, liberalism, if you will. But I do believe that we have gotten ourselves pigeonholed worldwide with people in 3D form. Therefore, we should probably pay attention to the 5 types of regimes that we have in the classical Greek philosopher Plato way of using words: aristocracy, timocracy, oligarchy, democracy, and tyranny. And I believe those are in true form today in the English-speaking as well as actually universally. I do believe in the higher realms, dimensions, states of being in the soul levels, which I subscribe to, having died twice here and come back with a soul moral understanding of what is right with past life energy, understanding that extraterrestrials are as real as immortal beings as we are in 3D form. Therefore, I subscribe to all levels that souls are immortal. So genetically speaking, I do think I have been influenced in the 3D way of knowing my soul and my past lives. And I have gone through beginner, intermediate, and have ruled planets and places in what's, I guess Tulloch would subscribe to as a universal source and force, from what I heard him say earlier, is that we have, I have mentioned over 35 years, Andromeda, and have written about it on UFO Digest. I just happen to subscribe to the local Milky Way and Andromeda galaxy. Therefore, I do believe that we have those that are billions of years old, and we are here on a learning planet with those that are much more advanced as our friends and colleagues. However, they have for all these years in what some people call a redo or a reset or whatever, as time has no meaning in many places in space, but here as teachers, we can subscribe to a linear as well as a vertical for places in space that are expansive, so we understand that. But freedom and joy here is what we seek as souls, and we come back over and over, I guess, if one wants to subscribe to that important factor that we are all the same. That's panpsychism for you. But who rules aristocracy? There are those that are much more willing to work together as teams universally, and they have gone through these things that we are, as young souls, maybe are some older, some intermediate, some just forming. Regardless of the form, here on this planet, we need to be concerned with a form of government that is actually influence our sectors on the planet, political power. And those, if you'll just let me say, is bankruptcy or bankocracy, corporatocracy, nepotocracy, kakistocracy, kleptocracy, which is the mafia state ruled by thieves, and ochlocracy, which is hard for me to say, the mob rule. So we can talk about the forms of government that we all know that are in place. I personally would like to see a geopolitical system on the planet based on tectonic plates and what is separate between the land and the water mass here, because I believe in brain transference and soul-mind transference and multiplexity as in multidimensional beings. So if you use your soul with your imagination and your soul, I believe we're here for reasons of gaining intelligence, levels of enlightenment, and advancing our souls. So there's an orientation and a transition. And now I'm not saying that I subscribe that some of these people choose to come in and play these parts in the dark, but that's what I understand. Thank you. Finished for now.
All right. Okay, excellent. We will pause that. Thank you very much. And Dr. Lesson, it's turn to introduce. He's done his intro. Just ask Ray, and while you're doing that question, I'll get Ray on live here to answer the next question. Dr. Lesson, will you please ask Ray question number 2?
Okay, Ray. This question is about who rules. Who's really governing Earth? How's government really work? Who's really in power? And what's their agenda?
Hello?
Ray, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Go ahead, Ray. Your answer. Go ahead.
Okay. First of all, for the people that are on this panel, Dr. Alfred Weber is our mentor. I mean, we're kids, and we're all going to do this in our own way. But Alfred Weber, and I am an idol of him. He tells it like it is. He's been in this for a long time. But everybody on this panel is important. They're going to do it in their own way. And I'm just blessed to be with this group. The people on this planet have no idea. They got the best medicine on this planet right now for the future. As far as the 3D people and the reptilians and Orion Greys, people have to understand, Abenaki, Cabal, all of them. The bad people come down here to control this world, to eliminate humanity. And I don't want to steal anything from my friend Tolik. I hope I'm saying these two names right. If not, I'm in trouble with Tolik. Anyway, the Procyon people, I never met the good vegetarian reptilians. We can thank God for Tolik's drama council back in January, February 2011. These Procyon people shot a sonic blast that blew up and killed a lot of reptilian Orion Greys. There's only 250 down here. As we go into 3D to higher frequency 4D, they can't even touch us. As far as the families down here and the higher up government officials and people like that are controlling this, everything we do, we have to turn everything around. These people will have two choices: go to the Hydro Draco Gray planets and never come back here, or to change and turn everything around as we move forward from 3D Corbin to a crystal liquid 4D. Really, that's all I have to say. but Dr. Weber said it all. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I do have to remind you that you do not have to take the full 5 minutes. And if you want to say, answer the question and then say something, feedback for other guests or whatever points that you want to make, that's fine. We're able to go a bit more free flow. We are going to stay within the structure. Our next panel member up is Elizabeth. I'm going to click her on live here. And Elizabeth, the question number 2 is, who rules based on research and direct experience? Who really governs this planet, and what is the true configuration of our governments, and how do those in power really govern the planet? And do they have agendas? What are they? And Elizabeth.
Here I am.
Can
you hear me?
You are live. Hey, thank you.
Okay.
I'm going to start the timer. Go ahead and you have 5 minutes.
Okay. So who really governs this world? I'm getting lots of feedback. Who really governs this world? Well, we'll go back to that. So let's go to describe the propaganda machine. What are their agendas? Well, I'm just going to play a little bit on that. I call them the bad guys and the good guys. The bad guys are the ones that have oppressed us and put us in enslavement for millions of years, although we've chose it as the good guys. The good guys now are awakening. There's some that are really awake. There's some that are awake to say, let's see, they have some certain feeling in their heart that something just isn't right, but they are awakening. And I do concur with you, Tolik, that Simon Parks, just in these 2 weeks, I've noticed as I do my shows and do my research, just in these 2 weeks, that the ones that have intel of what the bad guys are doing to us and how they're doing it, more deeper detail of that has come out. So that's a sign and a wonder to me that we're there. We're there that it's going to just explode in this world, disclosure of, what has been done to us all these years. And Simon Parks is bringing out that detail. We just did a Diamond show today on with some of his audio. And by the way, Simon Parks will be on the Diamond Show November 22nd. We'll bring more of that out. Also, Mr. Cat Eye, he's on YouTube. He came out from nowhere to bring just in a nutshell, bring out the pattern of what the bad guys and how they've been using their strategy over and over and over again to dumb us down and propagandize. Also, Andrew Bartsitz. But who really governs this world? If we could take it up to the minute right now, guess what? We do. Collective consciousness, even though it's not manifested all the way, we have decided to awaken and create, because we are the creators. We are the masters. We are the supernatural, even though it's natural for us. We are the superheroes. So our collective consciousness, we are one together, all of us. And we are waking up as we expand our consciousness, have shows like this, and are waking up. We are creating our new world right now. And we have been since 2012, 21, and before that even. So, and if you study quantum physics and sciences, that cannot be denied. We as a group, collective consciousness, this is our time. We're expanding now. We are increasing our energies, our vibrations, from less dense energy vibration, because we are an energy body, to from a dense one. And the bad guys are dense. So as we're increasing as a collective consciousness, our dense energies into less denser energies, they can't collect our dense energies anymore. And so they have to use their energy. So they're crumbling. And you'll see the world crumbling. It is now. It's crumbling at the same time we're awakening and we're expanding and we're creating our new world together as one. More and more people will be seeing that on the news, on the listening to it on shows like this, and so that's who really governs the world right now. We do. It has changed up, and yes, it's good to know about the other side, and because we came here to learn and grow, because we are masters. We were masters before we even came on this earth, and we so applaud to everybody. Franco Di Nicolo, he has expanded my consciousness amongst everybody on this panel. Love you, Ray, Dr. Alfred Weber, and Tolik, and Laura Magdalene Eisenhower's been on the Diamond Show. So bravo, bravo, bravo. Let's keep doing it. And as we have these round tables, We will expand consciousness so fast. If you're ready to do this, guys, we can do it. And let's help all of us, you know. Okay, that's it. Keep shining, Diamond.
Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth. That was great. You had about a minute left, but we will go on to our next panel member. Let me click on some buttons here. Dr. Lesson, would you please ask Tolik the next question number 2?
Okay, Tolik, who's ruling? What's their agenda, and how do they manage the resources of this planet?
All right. I heard your question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, because I hung up off of Skype and dialed in through myself, so I just wanted to make sure we had a true connection. All righty. I understand the full context of the question. Again, each of us have our own life experiences, and I will share with you mine and what some of my detailed knowledge is. I believe that if we look at a structure of a pyramid based on how, and I'll call it current modern history, let's call it from like the past 200, 250 years, based on the knowledge that I have, the people who are slugging to work every day of their lives, sloughing off to work, and they're getting paid minimal wages, and or they're making some good money, but they still have to, in some way, give of their life energy, their life force energy, to survive, to get paid money. All of these people, and I'm included in here, we're all at the bottom of the power pyramid, the power structure. And as you go to the top, based on the knowledge I have, that there are and have been higher density reptilians from Sirius B, from the Hydra constellation, from Orion, and certainly from Draco, in collaboration with some of the elite banking families. And actually, it's far less collaboration, and it's that the elite banking families pretty much rule, at least financially, the economic strata, socioeconomic strata, they rule the top of this planet. And they pretty much dictate the terms and conditions of how we as a global society live. Now, I'm not talking about awareness right now. I'm just talking about the reality of how life has been, how life is today. Are people globally becoming more aware and more awake? Are there a number of people awakening? Yes. In a recent conversation with my primary contact, my current primary contact, the Andromeda Council, he said that back when Alfred and I started discussions in late 2011, about 47% of the global population was awake. They are very surprised to note that as of today, that number is 53%, substantially higher. So, are people waking up? Are they becoming? Are they asking questions about what is spiritual life all about? What should our lives be like on this planet? That is true, but in terms of who has ruled this planet, higher density dimensional reptilians who live in the lower fourth, the elite families, the military, the banking families, and they have also been supported by a media propaganda machine. Now, that media can be broken up into two major sections: local news, CBS, NBC, ABC, CNN, Fox, etc., and the movies. There are in the tens. There are in the tens of movies that have been released recently that address some of the issues that are happening today. And if people just go to the theaters, they'll see in their plain sight all of the issues that are being addressed and played out on the planet. So that's the sum total of my statement.
You hear me?
Okay.
Okay, you're live. I don't know if you realize you're coming through live. So I'd have to share.
You're going to have to put them on mute.
Sorry. I can't put Tolik on mute. You're on the same connection with him, so you're.
Yeah, it's the other one. It's got children in the background.
Okay, Tolik, are you still with us?
Yes.
Yeah, he's with me.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your thought.
Go ahead.
Yeah, let him finish his thought. We could hear you talking to somebody. Okay, go ahead, Tolik. Finish what you were saying. I'm so sorry. Go ahead.
It wasn't me.
Sure, it's okay. I think if people are at least broadly paying attention, that they would discover that there's a global media outlet called the news, ABS, NBC, CNN, Fox, et cetera, that pretty much reads a script. And they are on purpose telling people what to believe. Also, there are movies that are playing out in the major movie theaters all of the issues, or many of the issues that are happening on our world today. And it's a classic good versus evil. And it's interesting that it's in plain view these days. So you'll find that between the propaganda machines that in the past have supported the banks and the elite families, the ultimate rulers that have been pretty much running this planet have been the lower dimensional 4-density reptilians have been pretty much calling the shots. That is ending. And I've addressed that issue a number of times, but that is ending. So that's the end of my statement for now.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. I'm sorry for the background. I figured out I left one. Just want to remind everybody, sometimes I may accidentally leave you on live. Please sound on your end and mute so that we can hear our guests as they answer. So now I have everybody off except for Dr. Les. I'm going to turn him off. Okay, so now the next panel member is Laura. And let me put Laura on live here. And Laura, the question is, who rules, based on your research and the direct experience, who really governs this planet, and what is the true configuration of our government, and how do those in power really control, govern our planet and resources? Do they have agendas, and if so, what are they? And go ahead, Laura.
I think it's just easy to break it down into either the negative ego rules the planet, or our ego serving our higher self is what rules the planet. And it's something we all have a choice with. We either empower and enable these dark forces to run the show, or we dismantle it through the power of spirit. And that's something that's always available, and this is really what our experience is about. We're dealing with galactic inheritance, ancestral inheritance, and biological inheritance. And we take it higher or we take it lower. The agendas want us to take it lower so they can rule us. But on an organic level, deep within us, where our divine blueprint exists, it is nature and our nature that wants us to expand and to ascend back to what we used to be. And what did we used to be? Well, after the fall of Atlantis and Lemuria that existed on a higher Earth called Tara in dimensions 4, 5, and 6, the cosmos changed due to exploded planets stemming from galactic wars between founder races and fallen races. These two groups, Atlantis and Lemuria, ended up becoming root races in the second creation, along with 5 other root races. And then the seeding of the 12 tribes took place that make up the human genome. And basically this connects with the stargates of this planet and our DNA. And basically this planetary body was seeded with a 13-dimensional core. And after falling into harmonic universe 1, it became a planet that's an ascending planet, but the necessity for us to ascend with the planet is based on soul development and our ability to rise above some of the galactic wars that caused hybridization and digression of our consciousness from true source, which is what allowed us to be so easily manipulated, because the Anunnaki ended up coming in and taking advantage of us, coming from Mars, which had its life wiped off, and Maldek, which exploded. Nibiru is a chunk, supposedly, of Maldek. And then here we are, hoping to share our codes and advance ourselves. But because of this digression and hybridization, there ended up being seals put in our DNA so that we wouldn't contaminate these higher worlds. And in that, also frequency fences got put in. And basically what it comes down to is their desire to create a slave race to take advantage of this process that we're in to rebuild ourselves back to what we used to be, and to understand how free will has enabled the negative ego to run itself like an infection, taking down as many as it possibly can, which is what our society and culture is based on. That's why there's false flags and distortions of the masculine and feminine and all these different things that stimulate us to stay in our lower chakras and keep ourselves addicted to the matrix. And really, the goal is that we see the difference between what's artificial and what's true, and we begin to unify, because this is how we share our codes and we activate our DNA strands again, and we come together as the 12 tribes, which is what this whole human genome is made of, which then allows us to assist in opening the natural stargates. And that's the 12 stargates on the planet. Now, the real agenda is against the number 13 and the 13th gate, which represents the core of this planet and the goddess energy. And that extra 13th piece is why that number is so taboo, and why there's not a 13th elevator, and we don't hear about the 13th apostle, and we don't hear about, the 13 moon calendar. And the number 13 is basically now the 13 families of the Illuminati, who have been dealing with these control forces through trauma-based mind control because of the nature of their genetics in the second seeding of creation on this planetary body. And so on a human level, it's like the Council of Foreign Relations and the Bilderberg Group and all these other things that enable these controller groups, such as the Sons of Belial and the Black Sons, which are basically satanic and Luciferian in nature, which goes back to these rebellions based on how this planet became a soul development planet that became that way because of the original Luciferian rebellions that are more than a few. And so basically when we look at on the world stage, we see the Zionists, we see the Nazis, we see ET collaborations that many don't put their attention on, but this is the root of war and why there's these opposing sides and a shadow government that's sort of running all of this. And basically, in a lot of ways, it's to target the Jews because they held particular codes that we've needed in this process of reunifying. And the control agendas didn't want that to succeed. But everything is set up so that we look at the Zionists like the bad Jews, and then we start to think that all Jews are bad, and then all of a sudden the Nazi party starts to rise again, which is why the Second World War was never really won. So who runs the show? We do, and our choices based on what we choose to empower or not empower. And basically the target date has been 2012, this whole stellar activation cycle. It's a great opportunity for us to unify and to open these natural stargates as the geophysics of the planet is such, because it's in alignment with the galactic plane, but with social engineering and false flags and weather modification, that's been difficult.
But Enki, with help from Galzu in a higher dimension, actually gave the submersible plans and a computer program to Noah, you call him. Ziasutra was his name. And the sons of Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, were to be the shepherds of humans. And the Anunnaki were continually fighting against each other and so forth. And there's been many attempts at trying to revise things and make things better, namely partly through rebels like Jesus and the Buddha, who tried to free humanity from these feared God religions, because Nanar's strategy was to get everybody in debt, and Yahweh's was just to kill everybody who disobeyed him. And so when it comes down to the oligarchy that descended from the kings that were partly descended from Jesus' wife, Mary Magdalene, they basically formed the planetary oligarchy to this day. And the way they control it, most people don't talk about this, is by dope, by poppies. They basically divided the world up during colonial times into these small competing groups, and they export. First it was tobacco, and then it was rum, which is a form of sugar, and then nowadays it's opium poppies, which they give to the poor people to keep them so stoned they don't know what's going on, and they use the money to keep their intelligence services, their military, and the prison system going. The prison system is one of their big businesses. They keep states have to keep the prisons filled. They also, of course, are the banking system. They have a seed monopolies. They basically control every part of our existence. And what they're called, I call them, after Duarte, the planetary oligarchy, the Lee, Warburgs, Rothschilds, and the so-called royalty. Now, royalty is nothing but racism. Understand it? No one's better than everybody else. Everybody's consciousness has just as much light to shine, and nobody's more better than anybody else. And we've got to really realize that this terrible oligarchy also rules by false flag events, assassination of presidents, the 911 setup where it was just created by the oligarchy so that we could say, oh, what to do? And, Mr. Bush says, why don't we bomb some Iraqis and take away some civil liberties in case you thought you had some? So, but I want you to understand that there ain't no them. That is, the things that we detest in them really represent parts of ourselves that we haven't come to grips with. And when we can come to grips with the greedy, one-upsmanship part of ourselves, then we can integrate that so that we can balance our selfishness with our generosity, and we can center ourselves, and we can respect all human beings everywhere. So who rules? I think ultimately the panelist who said we do is right, because there ain't no they. You have to understand the universe is all in the mind of source, so to speak. It's a holographic universe, and everything that is in us in some form, including the creator of all, and we're in everything else. So that if we transform ourselves, we have a chance of transforming. Oh my gosh, time's out.
Yes, time is out. Thank you very much, Dr. Lisson. All right, my turn. I will answer the question. I think who rules ultimately is we rule. At the highest level of creation, we decided to create the one God universe, the Gaia project, however you symbol it. We came down into physicality and decided to take these roles, and somebody had to play the hero and somebody had to play the villain. We have a polarity, good, bad, light, dark, evil, enlightenment, in order to diversify creation to its maximum potential. And sometimes you can remember this construct through deep meditation and shamanic practices and tantric practices, or whatever you do to get into this high state of awareness of yourself and who you are in the continuum. So we are all multidimensional beings having experiences on all levels of. And who roles we do. When you come down into the One God Universe game, which Errol the Grey from Roswell said, game is more fun than the not game, and so she likes the game. And that's why we're here, is that we get to be characters in play, and we continually reincarnate and come back and get to play all the roles in the game. And when you look at who's rolling the game, I follow the Anunnaki paradigm because I've been researching it myself and Dr. Lesson, and we have all these researchers and they're coming out with this paradigm, and Michael Tellinger, and they're just talking to everybody, and it seems to be the most logical system that's happening based on the information. We had a global society, we have pyramids that are everywhere, we have the stones in South Africa, and looking at it politically, it was originally the Enki and Enlil factions, and apparently they too were taken over by probably the Archons, and that's why some of their members started going crazy. Enki's son Marduk went ballistic, went crazy, and Enlil's granddaughter Inanna went crazy. It looks like Enlil might have won the war because she's the statue. Oh my goodness. Okay, we're going off live, but we're going to be on archive, and we're still continuing on our other simulcast, just to let you know. Sorry about that. So her brother Utu, her twin brother Utu, is probably ruling. He's the figure behind the Statue of Liberty. Inanna is the owl at the Bohemian Grove, and so she might be the ruler. The other ones have kind of taken a backstage, behind-the-scenes approach. Enki apparently is Jesus. He shows up, he takes the identity, and he comes through and he takes back the reality for a while, and he puts in his agenda because he wants to see humanity become enlightened. His wife is his sister Anima, who is Mary, and Mary has sent her image down to the Fatima and given us the prophecies, and Enki has the crop circles, and he's sending us signals, and their Enki's son Nagashita Thoth is the co-creator, and let's see what else did I have in my notes. The ultimate war is the war between masculine and feminine. On some highest level, we decided to separate, and so this planet is about disempowering the feminine. As soon as we balance the feminine, it'll be game over, and we'll have disclosure, and basically the veil will fall, and we will become conscious and enlightened, because the feminine is within and without, and the masculine is within and without. It's within each body, each self, and when you balance yourself personally and you balance yourself in your relationships, then you become balanced. I think that's all I want to say on this round, and I've lost my clock. Okay, thank you, everybody, for that round. We're going to start round 3. Let me have Dr. Lesson on for a moment. I've got to reset my clock. Okay, yeah, I found it. All right.
Okay, I would just like to say, yes, I would. That when we really look at the human brain, we'll see that there are several parts of it, that we are a genetic mixture. The brain stem is reptilian. It's got to do with greed and hierarchy, and that's the brain stem. This is enclosed in a higher brain, which is the limbic system, which is the emotional brain, or the monkey brain, which has feelings, which makes us quite distinct because we have a lot of compassion that the Anunnaki lacked. And above that, we have the left hemisphere, which is logical, and the right hemisphere, which can get the whole big picture, and there's a corpus callosum that joins the two, and then above them all is the pituitary, which is what you develop when you become spiritual, and this can become the dominant brain, and that's the way you move out of the whole system. But don't forget that when you supersede a level of consciousness, like your level of survival, doesn't mean that you're no longer a survivor. It just means that it's incorporated in a larger whole. And if you keep going in that fashion, ultimately you connect with the source, with the creator of all.
Thank you, Dr. Lesson. Would you please ask Alfred, and I'll click him on live while you do this, question number 3.
Question number 3, Alfred, is what are the effects of disclosure? What do you think will be the outcome of the scenarios that we've discussed and of these hearings that we're doing right now before you ladies and gentlemen of the Congress? And how can we help facilitate disclosure? What do you think will be the outcome of the scenarios that we've discussed and of these hearings that we're doing right now before you ladies and gentlemen of the Congress? And how can we help facilitate disclosure?
The question. Okay, take it away.
Yes, disclosure. As I said, I think that disclosure is really a misnomer. What disclosure should be called is expanding consciousness or ascension. Disclosure is a process that always has been ongoing and really is an integral part of universe governance and is an integral part of our planets and our individuals moving forward through the scales of density consciousness. We're in third density, but it's not all third density. It's like 3.1 density, 3.2, 3.5, 3.8, 3.9, 3.97, 3.97, Where are you in this density consciousness? And a density is different than a dimension. So disclosure is a natural process of a universe in the dimensional ecology. In the case of Earth, disclosure is a component of our easing now Now that the quarantine is lifting after the rebellion, which is 1 million to 500,000 years long, the aftermath, also dealing with the negative effects of the predatory Anunnaki intervention and the hyperdimensional Draco-Orion Gray attempted takeover. How is it going to happen? I say, as a first step, I would request, Madam Chairwoman, that we eliminate, and I would really request that when you post this on video, that you eliminate the word mock, M-O-C-K. This is not a mock hearing. This is a disclosure. And it came home to me when, as a judge in the Kuala Lumpur War Crimes Tribunal, where we were judging war criminals under natural law, it was the newspapers, as Tolek said, of the Illuminati, namely the New York Times, the Washington Post, RT, Russian television, is part of the BRICS, that called our tribunal mock tribunal, whereas many of the other more awakened newspapers would say tribunal and would recognize our judgments. So we are seated here today in this tribunal as sovereign citizens, exercising due sovereignty and governance under natural law to disclose and to awaken our citizens in self-assembled governance, where the compromised legal institutions of the constitutional organs of this planet are in fact covering up. And there's a distinction between lawful and legal. Legal is controlled by the matrix powers. It's all about conferred powers versus law is inherent in sovereign powers. And so we all here are awakened sovereign individuals acting under natural law. Natural law is inherent in the design of the universe. So disclosure is occurring here. I have 45 seconds. The overriding factor in all of disclosure is that Earth's time-space hologram is actually, as of 12/21/12, on a positive timeline. And that equation is positive future equals positive timeline plus unity consciousness. That is, the actual holographic timeline that we are traveling in has now shifted to positive with expanded unity consciousness. That is disclosure, and that's why disclosure is taking place even today.
Sorry, I had muted. Okay, thank you very much, Alfred. Thank you for that. That was wonderful. I love it. And I will take mock off of all my descriptions and postings. And after the show, I will post this far and wide. I invite everybody to do that. So please remove mock from any posting that you do. This is the Expanded Citizens Disclosure Panel 1. It has been officially renamed. Thank you for that, Alfred. Next panelist is Teresa J. Morris. Let me put her on live here. And TJ, the question is, number 3, disclosure effects. What do you think will be the outcome of these scenarios? When and how will we have disclosure? Who will disclose the truth? Has it already begun? What can we do to help facilitate disclosure? It's your turn, TJ.
Okay, thank you. As usual, it's a multifaceted question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Can hear you.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead and
here we go.
Go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, regarding disclosure, I understand the word to mean a secret information known as a fact or especially a secret that is made known. Now, we can take specifically words that we use to communicate with everyone on the planet, and presently we're using the business language of English. Now, I agree with Alfred, of course. I'm sure that he understands many levels of words that I probably could never even comprehend, but on his level of saying we are kindred spirits, the cosmos is a complex and orderly system. Now, disclosure is, to me, consciously saying that we understand much more of the cosmos than we have prior. Now, I do understand at the level of 3D that we usually at the Steve Bassett level, which I've talked to personally about on and off planet, cosmologically speaking, we in the 3D are allowed to do that, planetary-wise and space-time continuum, if you will, in the multiverse. However, most people do not. So that is how disclosure comes in to this worldview of play in the government and how we wind up with security clearances and those that work in government and those that work out. And as far as disclosure of the cosmos and traveling off and on planet, we have people that do that. They have always done that. And so this is also very multifaceted. We have factions of discourse. We have factions in the universe that come and go in an orderly system based on the level of souls and their understanding. Now, I personally have been in intelligence, and I understand the benefits. I also understand the need to know and those that want to know. I have been one of those that wanted to know, ergo I went to work for the government. So understanding there is interim confidential going in, confidential secret, top secret, above top secret. You have your people that work outside that are corporate, just like you or me, in and out of uniform. But philosophy has a lot to do with it, raising our levels of reference, our source. And what does our source want us to know? And the deep question of consciousness, awareness of source, and what do we want to know as a spark of the original source? Because we are all one in the source, so we remain source at some levels, and others may remain foggy and unclear or insufficient at the time of our 3D existence. I'm here to witness that there is an orderly fashion to the cosmos. There are many levels, as I've mentioned already, and if you want to go 13 or 13 to the exponential, and also infinity squared, which quantum cosmos physics, particle physics, to the nano, to the smallest microcosm, to the largest macrocosm, which we are all a part, can at this time, at this level of existence in 3D form, it's so complex that we aren't even able to comprehend in physical cosmology all that exists. Now, we are attacking it, as you can hear, in a lot of realms on this disclosure project, theologically, cosmologically, and in many other ways that we're trying to bring everyone together. So please be open to the word cosmology and allow it into your system of being. And we do deal with ancient wisdom and New Thought teaching, ancient and medieval cosmos, all the way up to those that you will hear many people's names dropped in space-time, and that which is time has no meaning because it doesn't exist except here when you're in a solar system existence. Now, just remember, yes, there's nature, Homo sapiens, conscious, Avatar Taurus, and all levels. And even in the disclosure project with those that we can drop names all day, bringing them to light, even in entertainment, everything is growing exponentially. So we are advancing. Each one of us as an individual soul understands orientation, transition, freedom, joy, love, past life, soul lives, future lives. And Janet and I and everybody that is in my soul group and soul memories are doing everything we can to assist all those to raise the levels, as you've heard everyone else on the panel pretty much relate to the observance of the universe cosmological expansion. So with disclosure, if you want me to talk at a 3D government, I can do that if you need to understand that. Why it started in 47 with Roswell Forward was because we dropped 5 ships, landed them on the 5 areas so we could make sure we could have coverage on the entire planet. Thank you. I heard the music.
And that's a good hanger. We'll finish with that. We're going to have one final round. this, and we'll you're going to have to summarize everything in the next round. Okay. Next panelist is Ray, and I do have to remind you, if you don't need to do all 5 minutes, you can yield some of your time to the next person. And let me click on Ray, and let me click on Sasha. Ow. Let's see. I'm going to put that on mute. Okay. Sasha, please ask Ray the question.
Ray, the question is about the effects of disclosure. What do you think the outcome of disclosure would be? How and when will we have disclosure? Who will disclose it? Has it begun? And what can we do to help it?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Yes, go ahead, Ray. Your answer, please.
First of all, I agree with TJ. I definitely agree with Alfred. And the day that disclosure actually happens, it would just be the beginning, because there's so much that's hidden from us, and just for them to agree that ET exists and UFOs and everything else, there's just so much involved here. The American people are being very aware of what's going on, and all the smart people in my life, the 28 good ones, and I speak a little bit on Tolik's people too. There's smart people with underground bases down here that are programmed to do what they're supposed to do to help us. And we're going to go through this smooth. They're coming to the people now. I know Russia's trying to come out with the disclosure the way it should be. And I think the United States will follow suit. As far as Roswell, they'll live with the lie. They'll never admit it. And the day the contact happens down here, they'll go along with it. And as far as the panel, this great panel that's on this panel now, and if this panel was to go to the actual Washington and do this for real, I would definitely go with these people. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, Ray. Ray, maybe the speaker, thank you, Ray, for that. Our next panel member to respond to the question is Elizabeth. Let me put her on here. And Elizabeth, disclosure effects, what do you think will be the outcome of these scenarios? When and how will we have disclosure? Who will disclose the truth? Has it already begun? And what can we do to help facilitate disclosure? Oh, one second. The button didn't work. Here, try. Okay. 1 second. We got Elizabeth. Go ahead.
Am I on?
You are on.
Cool. Okay, guys. Well, disclosure. First of all, this is through my perspective and journeys and doing my intel and studies and guests and everything. I've recently been able to put a great big puzzle together. First of all, according to Franco Di Niccolo, who's a very high being, and he goes galactic. He has a galactic vision. And these last few months, not 2 months, but last recent months, all these thousands of timelines people have talked about that we could be on, good, bad, in between, have literally merged as one. And then they frayed like the end of a rope, frayed. And now we're in a great big buffet, a smorgasbord. And we're literally have a clean slate. We're on the clean stage, and we're co-creating this together and going into the golden age. So, we can't actually predict the future anymore because we are co-creating it together from our awakening and what we want to play out now, which is positive, all the opposite of what we've been through these millions and thousands of years. So I just want to bring that in. And as far as just what I've put together, disclosure, I believe just kind of things will become more unhidden. They are. Lies will be, and deception will become more known to the public. And as we do that, a grassroots standing up from just the average daily people. They already are been standing up for the last 3 or 4 years, started in Egypt. But of course, they get curtailed a little bit by the bad guys. But grassroots standing up, because when the people in numbers stand up and say, we want change, that's when the governments can say, okay, and they'll literally be forced, like, President Obama. So then the next thing I think will come is ET disclosure. and a government. If India's wanted to announce it for a long time, literally, and if you do your research, you can see that. And Obama was supposed to announce it a couple times, and that got curtailed. But once ET disclosure comes, then everything else will have to be revealed, as a process, because it's all intertwined together. Technology, bring out the new technology, in our true history of, what we've really been through and going to and who we are. Our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, bodies will morph. They are now. The government, deception will come out. Medical, pharmacology will come out. Right now, the Ebola thing going on, that's like a curtain being opened, and we're seeing who Oz really is, because everybody may be scared, but some aren't. But they're going to their computer, here's the internet again, and researching on Ebola and finding out there's simple remedies for Ebola. The foods, the MS, whatever they are, going back to organic foods and the economy, the way it should ran by the people, all of us, not governed by a government, and our education system. So we're bringing it back, and we're creating it as we go. Right now, as a collective consciousness, whether we know it or not. So what I've seen now lately is, right now what we're doing is we're building bridges. First, it started building bridges with ourselves and our families and all that. We're on the ground in our everyday life. And now we see groups coming together, like this round table. We're building bridges with the groups. And I just want to encourage people to build bridges in your everyday life as you go about your life, building bridges, plant the seeds, to help them start wondering and ask the questions. Work with them. If they're good, bad, in between, work with them and, bring your heart and love into it, and just watch how we create this world. And, if we're willing to do that, it goes like dominoes, just like in the old world. And we will be somewhere before you know it. We couldn't even imagine. So there it is.
All right. And so you're complete. Well, thank you. You had 23 seconds. And thank you very much for that, Elizabeth.
Sure.
Let me put on our next panelist is Tolik. And 1 second while I click him on. And Tolik, do you know the question, or do you need it to be repeated?
I do. No, I'm ready to go.
Okay. You're ready to go. Okay, the question about disclosure. So go ahead, I'll start. We're running out of time. And go ahead, begin.
I'll do my best to be concise. I have discussed this topic with a number of other people in the past. I'm certainly aware of the disclosure movement, if you will, by people who've been police officers, fire department people in various branches of the military, Secret Service people, high level up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, getting before Congress, I think going back to 2001. I'd like to set the stage for my interpretation of what I believe that people, the broad brush of people, are thinking about when they think of the word disclosure. And to me, what I believe that the broad brush of people, at least across this country, think about is some kind of formal government acknowledgement saying, yes, there is intelligent extraterrestrial life in the universe. We are, in fact, not alone. As a matter of fact, evidence of that, we can see that things are changing, is that NASA, just within the past, I want to say 2 to 4 months, so that's recent, has been having their own public panel discussions discussing the potential reality of extraterrestrial life. They would call it alien life out in the cosmos. Why? Because NASA scientists recently have said, oh, look, there are planets outside the system in what is called the Goldilocks zone. Great potential for life, much like ours. So there's already open discussion. Now, here's what that does. At least for the U.S., that suppressed what really happened in Roswell. That provides the U.S. powers that be to say, okay, there's some new recent discussion going on, and they can have it be about the potential reality. But this country, as compared to Russia, as an example, there was a VP in Russia who, let's say he thought he was off air. And if he was really off air, he was caught kind of making a statement about the reality of an extraterrestrial race that they were aware of. Now, moving on to other countries. There are other countries south of us, in Central America and in South America, that in their news broadcasts, they are openly discussing UFO sightings and ET encounters. So I want to bring this back to disclosure. Do I believe that we in this country of the United States are going to see formal government disclosure? No. Not unless the government's hand is absolutely forced, and they are aware of the fact that the ETs, including the people of the Andromeda Council, will be going to the people. I believe that we will far more likely see ET interaction with the people in various suburban towns and cities all over the country. If there's any disclosure on the part of the government, that's about the only time that you'll see them capitulate and say, oh, yeah, it looks like there are, in fact, wow, look, there are intelligent people from the universe, but it's going to have to be right in front of them, and they may even deny it for a while. That's, I think, the issue. If people are defining disclosure as formal government acknowledgement, A, I believe it's not going to happen, and B, it will only happen if at least this government is pushed to the very edge and their hand is forced. That's it. That's my formal statement.
Well, thank you so much. And you had about a minute left. All right. Our next panelist is Laura. And let me pull her on. And Laura, do you need me to repeat the question, or are you ready to go? Oh, 1 second. Sorry. Try that again. Okay, Laura, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Do you need the question repeated? Are you ready to go with your answer?
I'm ready to go. I'm ready.
Okay, here we go. You. Go ahead.
Okay, well, to me, disclosure is an individual thing because we all process information differently, and we all believe what we want to believe. And for us to be able to handle whatever gets shared with us between ourselves, from governments, from world leaders, it really comes down to the person. I mean, we have already gotten the ball rolling. I mean, disclosure is already happening. We don't want to wait for our governments. We want to be prepared for when our governments have something to say and ask the most important questions to them while we work together to, really figure out why there's been secrecy and what these agendas are all about. And we need to educate as many people as possible as we prepare for something, larger. And the most important question is why the secrecy and what are the agendas? The problem is the masses are more waiting for just hearing that ETs actually exist. And that seems to be more what disclosure means for people rather than really getting deep into, what are these agendas about and what are they doing? Because if we don't ask these sort of questions, then we're just being duped because these agendas have been going on. The only difference is they're going to go from covert to overt, but in it becoming more obvious, it's like, here come more false flags, where they've created the problem and they come up with a solution that we will start to utilize, ET technology and start to clean up our mess, and maybe they will end up being our rulers and masters. Or another scenario would be a fake alien invasion without anybody really realizing that we've been invaded already. I mean, the amount of manipulations that can come along with public disclosure from governments is a huge red flag that we have to be aware of. And so, to me, disclosure is already happening, and we all need to kind of get a grip on it and get as many people involved as possible, because really what we're needing to understand more than anything else is who we are and what we're made of and why these agendas have been taking place and what has been targeted. What about us has been targeted? Number one, the internal balance of the masculine and feminine. Number two, Gaia and nature and, things that control the weather, which controls our consciousness on a lot of levels because we are directly connected to the earth. And we can override all of this when we stop plugging into the matrix and we start to starve the government and stop giving them so much power on top of, waiting around for them to disclose things that'll probably not be on a level that is going to really serve us. There's all sorts of disclosures that need to come about regarding higher dimensional beings, the beings from Venus, folks like Valiant Thor that were put on VIP status. These things, are coming out publicly already. There's a movie coming out. So I don't know. I don't think we have to wait around for anybody. I think we need to starve the government and start to look to each other and to rise above together and initiate unity consciousness. But in order for us to do that, and to be able to process each other's information, we need to focus on inner work and recognize that if disclosure, in my book, and what I'm saying is a personal thing, then we need to prepare our intuitive bodies, we need to prepare our spiritual bodies, we need to prepare our discernment nature, and really get our vessels in gear so that we can handle everything that's coming down the pike. And that way we can make good decisions, we can come together and share information, we can do it with harmony and respect. Because there's no way we're going to unify if we're all fighting and we are allowing these agendas to succeed, which are basically geared towards keeping us conquered and divided, keeping us from being able to expand together and, expand into higher earth energies and unify these polarities, the right and left brain, the masculine and feminine. So we need to repair where the damage has been for us to be able to come together and rise up together so that when disclosure happens, they're not going to fool us and they're not going to be able to manipulate us with extraterrestrial information. We're going to be empowered. And in actual fact, we're going to be the ones holding them in the corner and holding them accountable for all the crimes that they've done, rather than accepting like, yay, the governments are finally telling us. It's like, no, we've known all along. Now it's up to you guys to clear yourselves and to be held accountable and do what's right, and to get out of power and to let the human race be the leader, because it's the human spirit that's going to carry us through. And that's the positive timeline. And just like Alfred said, to me, that's the disclosure, is us recognizing who we are.
Thank you very much, Laura. That was wonderful. Okay. Dr. Lesson, let me put you on.
Yes, I'd like to say a few words about disclosure. If the government discloses, they'll disclose more lies. You can bet on it. And the reason why they don't disclose the ET presence is partially because they have a truth embargo. And if you start scratching underneath that, you'll see that the clandestine government, with the collaboration of Bush's and Johnson and those ostensible leaders, have murdered millions of people and have denied us technologies that we well know about so that we don't have to have debt. And I didn't say the big disclosure would also kill religion, because religion is certainly, the Vatican is a big part of this power oligarchy that controls everything. And so when you really start to go for truth, you're going to have a lot of murders and a lot of suits. And the only way to get ever past that, I think, is to have something like Truth and Reconciliation, like Mandela did in South Africa. You've got to forgive these terrible murderers at least enough so that we can go on. They need to be deprived of any authority. And so we need to really look at the end of religion, the end of debt, and all those kind of things, if it ever will, and the end of pollution. And we have so much to gain if only disclosure would really happen. And I do agree with you, Laura, that the way to really start is to go within. And the other thing is to go beyond just guilt and say, well, look, we need to forgive and let go and build from here as a life form. We can't go on denying this. Now, I want to tell you, the person that really stands for this more than anybody I know is Andrew Bashago, who's running for president, whom I totally support, because what he is saying is, let's start over. Let's do candor. It's going to be a fight about who gets, you ladies and gentlemen of the Congress. I know you're probably afraid to introduce a bill because you're afraid of being castigated in some way. But, if you, Congress, would act, maybe Mr. Obama would have to say something, or maybe Mr. Putin or the Pope would try to beat them to it. But it doesn't matter. These ostensible leaders are not leaders if no one follows them. And that's my solution. It's nullity. Stop participating. If you're under arms, throw them down. Go to your bases, demand return. Don't kill your fellow humans.
share with other people, cooperate. We can't go on with this hierarchical thing, and we must increase feminine consciousness and the oxytocin world as conscious.
Thank you, dear. Thank you. It was beautiful. Thank you. Okay, in the interest of time, we are running out of time. We're going to do the next round. Will be 4 minutes. And Dr. Lesson, go and ask Alfred. Disclosure, I think it's already happening. I want to thank the millions of experiencers that are coming out and all the people, the whistleblowers, many of which have given their lives. Thank you for telling the truth. It's disclosure. So next round, Dr. Lesson, please ask Alfred the final question. And I would like to invite our panelists to, at the last part of your answer, please tell us your website and how to reach you. Okay, putting Alfred on live. And go ahead, the question number 4 on solutions. Go ahead and ask.
Okay, Alfred, we want you to summarize the possible solution for what ails our world. What outcome do you see for Earth and her people? Will we ascend, shift, experience Earth changes? What's going to come down? What will life on the planet, if there is life on the planet, look like after disclosure?
Okay,
go ahead, Alfred. Great.
Yeah, thank you. As I said before, to use the word disclosure or before or after disclosure, I think sort of limits it. Disclosure should be really stated as the great shift of consciousness, the great shift of density, expansion into unity, consciousness, and humanity in the earth, and in fact the whole universe, because it's our whole universe that has shifted into unity consciousness after 12-21-12 to access all of the dimensions of our universe. This is actually the entire universe ascending. So it's a self-disclosure of the universe to itself, if you want to get technical about it. If we get to the issue of the formal disclosure which was raised, well, we just had a formal disclosure last week. Satanic Jesuit Pope Francis Bergoglio stated that the ETs had a great role in universe creation. That was scientifically correct, but its intent was one to evade a criminal court sentence for ninth circle infanticide by himself and to claim satanic dominance on behalf of the Illuminati over Earth, i.e. to get ahead of the wave of disclosure, because the Pope is the head of the temporal government of the planet. And that goes back to the secret Treaty of Verona. Disclosure is really awakening, and it's a spectrum. As people awaken in a whole spectrum, what you just mentioned about Franco, one of the panelists, Franco Di Niccolo. Right before our panel, there was a panel that was on air that ended when ours started, Franco Di Niccolo and Paul Hellyer. Yes, the timelines have merged. That's the whole discovery of the positive future and the equation of positive future equals positive timeline plus unity consciousness. You can go to our website, positivefuture.info, and there you will see 10 and even more precise steps that will show what life on this planet can look like, which is the landing of heaven on earth after disclosure, which is after awakening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alfred. And I'm going to steal a minute from each person because we are running out of time. I'm going to click on TJ. You go first, and then the timer will go off, and we'll do Tulloch. These are solutions. Please summarize possible solutions, etc. TJ, your turn.
Thank you, Janet.
Are you there?
And
okay.
You. Yes. Can you hear me?
3 minutes. Yes.
All right.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Global solution is for each individual to become involved and make passive and aggressive more like action. So take take an active role, please, in the universal intelligence at this level of existence. Do what you can every day as a solution to make your world a better place. I totally subscribe to learning from an inner and an outer, an innie and an outie, if you will, being very real in 3D, because being not real and not being here now serves no purpose whatsoever. One must be here now, raising awareness in one's own planetary sphere, if you will, in your own inner skin, the inner core that you were born and trained to do. Many of us are older souls. By choice, we choose to obtain certain levels in various existences. And we can talk about that all day, but unless it proves to give one power to discern, and we call that love and light, with wisdom and love and advancing souls, we come here to be here now and make a difference in self-disclosure and obtaining a higher level. And if you want to call it a frequency or resonation or whatever, if you want to go scientifically and say the energy never stops existing, that is fine. Future lives, that's fine. If you want to talk about progression instead of regression on a timeline that may or may not even exist, that's fine. But the problems of solving how we formulate who we are, right now we're existing in a state of mind, whether we accept each other's at the global expansive of the overall source. From what I can understand, I'm here because I have an understanding of being in various places at one time that overlaps, and I've been able to overcome problems spiritually, meaning death and dying. And I've come back as a witness to show I can die and return, die and return. I've had that happen in a 3D linear world. I've worked on and off planet. Now, that is hard because the government is in a state of allowing different levels of solutions, seeing the future, seeing the past, all time chronologically. But spirits see the future and the past because we're immortal. We see backwards and forwards, up, down, side, all things that are motion, not chronologically. So there is more than day, night, and time. Time is absolute in the way we think, but I would ask you to think outside of oneself when you think source. Now, imagination and morality is wonderful, but if you want to share life with me here, I'll be more than happy. I think life is beautiful, and I would strongly suggest you find me at TJMorris. That's Teresa, the Greek spelling. I have past lives, if anybody cares about that kind of thing, if it serves a purpose. Atlantis, Mu, Lemuria, and I know that I am billions of knowingness years old. So thank you.
Timer, so I'm sorry. Just give us your website, please. I got to go on to Tolic.
I did. TeresaJMorris.com. Teresa J.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
TeresaJMorris.com.
Since Tolic is there with you, I'm going to go to Tolic and set the timer. 3 minutes, Tolic. The solutions and what's going to happen after disclosure. Go ahead. Are you there, Tolic?
I'd like to. Yes, I'm right here. I'd like to ask a question, and if you repeat the whole question, then I can better understand the context of solutions.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, solution. Please summarize possible solutions for what ails our world. What outcome do you see for this world and her people? When we ascend, shift, experience, Earth changes, World War III, what will life on this planet look like after disclosure?
Okay. All right. I'm going to change the definition of disclosure for the sake of all of our panelists. And let's say, at least for me to answer this question now, we are doing disclosure right now. It's not governmental disclosure, but by us having this dynamic discussion and addressing these issues, this is part of an overall disclosure process. Now, moving on. The world, as I've learned from my Andromeda Council contacts, is going to evolve, and it is going to go from being a 3D dense organic world into a world with its inhabitants that vibrate at a higher frequency, a higher rate. Most people refer to this higher frequency and rate as either the word density or dimension. for the sake of this conversation, I'll say that they're the same. I know they're not, but we'll say they're the same. I believe that we will see higher dimensional, higher density people share with us some things that they've learned, some technologies that are way ahead of where we are, because at least from a frequency perspective, we're going to be likely at the upper 4D, mid-level 5D density rate, and we'll be at the same rate as they are. So we'll have access to technologies which will make our lives as a new, if you will, illuminated humans on this beautiful planet a lot easier. Many, many things are going to change. I've had many discussions about this topic, but let's just say that our lives as we know it are going to be completely different. I think that's about as much as I can give within the context of this amount of time. The website is AndromedaCouncil.com. If people want to write to me with questions, they can do so from their YouTube channel and write to me at Tolec, T-O-L-E-C, from Dakote. D is in David, A-K-O-T-E. And thank you for having me.
Well, thank you, Tolec. Just stay on until the very end. We're going to open it up at one more round, and then I'm going to turn on all the mics. Okay, I'll put you on hold, and next up is Ray. Ray, do we have you? And do you need the question repeated, or are you set to go?
You hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I agree with Tolec a lot. The changes down here is going to be the most beautiful planet ever. The star people, when contact is made and come down here, it won't be for a day. They will be here for a long time, teaching us new technologies. We'll be working side by side with these people. It's our time to evolve as humans. We were supposed to do this 368 years ago. You're probably talking the 1600s. Go from a 3D to a 4D higher frequency. And we're going to be healthier. There's going to be a lot of changes. We're going to start seeing changes now, even after this show, all the way up to 2017. It's a major year for us. I speak with my Fab Four every 2 months. I get vital information from these people. They've never lied to me. And I'm just a messenger, just like people on this planet. I get the information out. That's what I'm supposed to do. And to let the American people know that things are going to change for the better. And that's really all I want to say. My email is Kossee Kossee baby, B-A-B-Y, 47 @gmail.com. And thanks a lot again, Janet and Sasha.
Okay, Ray, thank you for that. Stay tuned. We're going to open up everybody at the very end, but the next one we're going to talk to is Elizabeth. Hold on one second while I click that. Elizabeth, do you need the question repeated, or are you ready to answer the question?
I'm ready to answer, and I'll be brief. Can you hear me?
Oh, here you go. Take it away.
Okay. Regarding global solution, I've had this on my heart for a year, so I'm going to start a global solution here on the Diamonds Call. It's been a passion of mine for a little bit, and actually, Tolec, I don't know if you know it, I felt a really big shift, and this is kind of what started my passion, is I stumbled onto your calls, never heard of you before, a couple years ago on Christmas Day, and the whole Christmas weekend I listened to your calls. And before that, I studied ETs and everything. But on that time, I got a really beautiful Christmas present. It seemed like I came closer in relationship to our star people listening to you. I mean, it wasn't they're all far out there anymore, just UFOs. It felt really close to them. I was starting to build a relationship. So my passion, my global solution, is gathering us all together on a forum, like on the Diamonds Call, and, facilitating in, and we know about our star family now and ETs and UFO sightings. Now let's build relationship, starting on the phone calls, and I've been talking to the ETs. Let's build relationship. Like I know Tolec and Julian Wells and all those, and Ray's one of a kind. I've had him on my show, and he has built relationship. He's built relationship over, oh my goodness. Okay, honey, hold on. Relationship over 50 years with our star family. Not just building relationship, but even hugging them. Physical contact, you know, as friends, and has learned a bigger vision from them. So that's what I want to facilitate as a global solution on the Diamonds call. And so we can go to the next level of our star families, and that's a part of our growing too. So Diamonds Forever, Diamonds with an S Forever, 31.blogspot.com is my blog. And at the top of the blog, you can find out how to get to the Diamond shows every Saturday, and also check out Elizabeth Diamond YouTube channel. So I hope to facilitate in building a closer relationship with our star families, and as we go through this disclosure and our awakening. And I love you all. Thank you so much, everybody. This has been phenomenal. Thank you, Janet and Mr. Lesson, and everybody on the board. Love you. Keep shining like diamonds, okay?
All right, and thank you, Elizabeth, and do not sign off yet. We have a few more seconds. We're going to do one more. Let's see, we got Laura to bring on next, and then Dr. Lesson, and we're going to open up the panel, let everybody do their burning shares. What's hot? Okay, Laura, do you need the question repeated, or are you set to go?
I think I'm set to go.
Okay.
Just to be metaphorical. Oh, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I almost
We
feel
can
like,
hear you. Go
know
ahead.
what? Yeah. I see that, there's a major difference in how people are, running their energy. And to me, it's almost like a tumor is beginning to fall away. And it's something that they wish to put on a life support system, which I would call the transhumanism agenda. It can't take down the multidimensional body of Gaia, but it might be able to capture a lower density, kind of like a tumor. And those who have lost themselves or have been enabling these agendas unconsciously or consciously are really a part of this. And some, people might be, compromised, but there is never a shortage of spirit guides and rescue missions and all sorts of benevolent forces out there to help in this process, because we have to look at it like an immune system. We have to look at creation like an organism, like the physical bodies that we have, which it actually runs on the same laws because it is a physical body with a multidimensional nature. So Mother Earth is moving on and expanding into higher Earth energies, and we're in the middle of all this, and we are witness to both scenarios. If we wanted to break it down into timelines, then two main timelines with many different timelines amongst both. And we're working to dissolve the tumor and guide as many souls as possible to the truth of themselves and who they, really are, so that they don't fall into the transhumanism trap or any sort of enslavement or a mass extinction. But we have to remember that we are being manipulated through our fears of survival and our fears of death. And so we really need to sort of detach a little bit more and recognize our larger bodies and what it is we really are made of, because these sort of manipulations keep us locked into this density. And so in our pursuit to save ourselves, we actually enslave ourselves because we have lost connection with spirit. And when we connect with spirit, though, and we connect with each other, it's like the immune system, and it pushes out the splinters. It pushes out all negativity and darkness. And so each individual, if they were to focus on this, is enabling and co-creating a really beautiful future. We have to understand that Gaia is connected to star systems and the Andromeda Galaxy. And this galaxy actually fell from the Andromeda Galaxy. And it is within our own vessels that we're able to reconnect. And it's through our chakra system and through our unification that this is going to happen. And the thing is, we're infinite beings. We have all the time in the world to figure this out if we allow our compassion and our concern for others keep us stuck. Eventually we're going to feel a push to move on and to assist others in a different way. But we have to know that we're all going in the same direction. Some will get there sooner than others, but you cannot trap spirit. You can trap, aspects of consciousness and aspects of ego. But when people are ready to snap out of it, they're going to be right there with us. And our job right now is to inspire as many people to begin that process. And I think that's what we're going to be playing out, and everybody is going to experience it a little bit differently. And thank you for having me on.
Thank you, Laura. All right, just one final word from Dr. Lesson, and we're going to open up the panel for everybody to say final goodbyes. So you're all live. Be aware of that. Dr. Lesson, final words. We do.
Okay,
well, we have 8 minutes. Return, and then I'll take a brief turn, and then yes. Go ahead.
I agree with almost everything you say, Laura. We were designed by our makers to do better than has been done. We are empathetic. We are compassionate. The recent Homo erectus, which was placed by terraformers on this planet so that they would be available for the Anunnaki, they attracted the Anunnaki's attention because they were letting animals out of traps because they cared about feelings. And that's who we are. And so that our solution, and I agree, it's everyone going inside, but the solution is to stop participating in separating one-upsmanship behaviors like war and dissing of women. Boycott the products. Don't use Monsanto's stuff. Strike. Don't work in munitions. Don't do anything that supports war. You can even nonviolently obstruct things and channel competition and that drive to do better into synergy so that you create wins for everybody. Our natural state is to be friendly and loving and to exchange goods, services, and genes. And that's where it's at. There's enough energy, freedom, and medical freedom, and transport freedom, non-polluting technologies that we are totally aware of. And once we realize that the oligarchy, we don't have to kill anybody. All we have to do is stop empowering them by stop participating in their institutions. It's an institution that really hurts things, because when you have this presumption of perpetuity, which is what you get in corporations aggregate, that the individuals in the company aren't responsible because they come and go, or a corporate office where the incumbent changes, and so an individual isn't responsible, and we come back to making individuals responsible for their acts. That's my opinion.
Thank you very much. And I see that this is inevitable, that it's happening, that we will have full transparency and authenticity in our world, and it being that we will have a conscious, devised civilization that respects all life, and every being that is born gets their basic needs met as a birthright, so that each and every one of us, every being, can live out our lives in dignity, beauty, grace, and peace. With that being said, I have opened up the channel so everybody is live. Does anybody, we're going to go popcorn here. 4 minutes. Does anybody have any burning shares, things they want to say? And let's see what happens. Who wants to speak? They're all live.
Well, yeah.
I'd like to say health and prosperity. Oh, we both talked at the same time. I apologize.
Yeah,
go ahead.
I'd like to say that. Yeah, I'd like to say that my experience is that we all have given holographic fragments from the positive holographic timeline that we're part of, and that's what occurred today, and it's an amazing new type of experience. So that's all I want to share.
I'd like to share health and prosperity to all. I just love this. It's good to meet new people, hear your voice, be involved with Alfred, which she's been on the show before, and I'd love to have Laura and Diamond and Ray and Tolik all on our shows, and Janet and I both have one, and then I'm going to Revolution, so I'll have Cosmos Connection, and I'll have TJMorris Live, 2 shows over there. I've got 5 during the week. So anyone that would like to share energy, if you feel compelled to do so, I know that we all have shows, so share energy if you feel compelled to do so. I know that we all have shows, so we're all at that level. So thank you very much. It's been a wise review. It's been a wonderful panel. I've really enjoyed it, and I want everybody to know I love doing everybody. So let's do you, and we'll do me, and we'll all be unity.
Yeah,
and I write songs
I just
too.
want to say, really quick, I propose we took a big leap in consciousness today. This group, but not just this group, but collective consciousness, Bravo. Yay!
Yay!
Oh, and I also want to share it's a very powerful astrological alignment this weekend with the Sun next to Venus in Scorpio receiving aspects from Neptune and Pluto, which means that we can really anchor unbelievable and wild dreams into physical reality. And we couldn't have chosen a better time to really anchor this good information. And I just want to thank everybody so much. I'm just so grateful we've all come together and we're all doing what we're called to do. And I just hope it inspires others to step up and